more time, place the bet only to see the bet delayed by the spinny wheel, line move, and your bet rejected. My name's Alex Kane, and I'm the founder and CEO of Sporttrade, Arizona's newest sports betting app. At the core of the Sporttrade offering is our probability-based odds. In other words, the Cardinals may be offered at 55% odds to win, a lot simpler than minus 125. Place your bet at 55% odds, and as your win probability changes, so does the value of your bet, giving you the ability to cash out with total control. And the best part, no spinning wheels. Live bets on Sporttrade are instantly accepted. Download Sporttrade on your iPhone today and use code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet in your first week. Terms apply.
Sporttrade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
KQFN Tempe, also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
All right, people, settle down.
Because it's time for what?
Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
Well, welcome everybody to the Friday edition of the Daily Blender here on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Right over there, the sexiest man at Sports Talk Radio. That's Keon Rose. My name is Randy White. Jeffrey O'Brien out today. Ralph not here. I'm sure Ralph is somewhere getting prepared for, I guess, a baseball game is happening tonight. I don't know, and I really don't care. You are the fourth dimension texting in at 888-368-1580, which is our texter line, and you're what makes this whole thing go around. We are going to talk some NFL. Last night's game ended weirdly. We'll talk about the Cardinals and what they have to face this upcoming weekend. Also, somebody got fined for the hit on Chris Godwin. We'll talk about that. Some sad news in the world of sports on this day. Here, Keon Rose's college football dance party is coming up. We've got some NBA action, whole lot to talk about, Keon. I hope you're ready for a fun-filled and exciting day here on the Daily Blender. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well. Had some bets go a little sideways last night, but we have to talk about it.
Well, I mean, any other things you want to maybe talk about on the big show today?
No, I mean, I'm excited to see where we're going to wind up. I'm sure we're going to talk a little Suns, which, you know, I'm always good for some NBA conversation. So,
well, I mean, we're going to break down the big game that's happening tonight against the Lakers. So that's coming up here on the Daily Blender. Glad you're along with us. 888-368-1580. Let's see here. Booger Wolf says, can you guys play that Minnesota touchdown horn? I feel like laughing again. What a bunch of Snow Hicks posers stuffed that shepherd pie down that gullet. It's kind of mean, I think, from Booger Wolf.
Yeah, that's kind of his thing.
Kind of angry from, you know what I mean, Booger Wolf. The telling of the Vikings fan to stuff that shepherd pie down their gullet. Old man, sorry, dozed off for a minute. Did I miss anything yesterday? Yeah, you missed a lot, old man. Latina Leprechaun says, hello, Keon. Hello, Randy. Sad to see Jeffrey's gone. Hope he feels better. Let me know if he needs her to make him some homemade chicken. What the hell? Kerplach soup?
I don't
Kerplach?
I don't know what that is.
Soup?
You're going to have to explain that, Latina Leprechaun, because I don't know what that is. I've never
heard of a kerplach.
Not
before.
A single day in my life. Not a solitary day. I don't know what that is.
I know spinach, but not kerplach.
Also, don't believe Jeffrey is. Well, I mean, he was coughing and all that, but he's not missing today because of that.
I can confirm he does have his cough towel with him. Big George, hello, gentlemen. Happy Friday, TGIF. Well. Donnie got a little butthurt last night on Twitter after Minnesota lost, and he started to use curse words against Jeffrey. Do we need to do a welfare check on Donnie? No.
I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
He's been a Minnesota fan his entire life. This cannot be a shock to him.
I mean, look, it was a close game last night. And quite frankly, we have a lot to talk about in that game. But the Rams getting Puka Nacua, and what's his name? The Amish cat. What's his name?
The Amish. Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. That's it. Yep.
Not Amish.
Does not use electricity. He goes to the stadium in a horse-drawn buggy.
He very much does use all of those things, but he does look very Amish. I'll give you that. I'll give it. He looks Amish.
And Matt Stafford reliving his 20s when he was just a young buck coming out of Georgia.
Can you believe that was Matthew Stafford's 5th Thursday night football game ever?
Well, I can, because I'll tell you why. Because I feel like Matt Stafford was buried in Detroit for so many years, and Detroit was not shall we say, a team that was sought after for primetime games.
Yeah, I'm sure. But man, when you consider like just the dreck we've gotten on Thursday Night Football over the years, you'd think that Matthew Stafford might have made 1 or 2 more appearances, but no. He's 36 years old, and this is his 5th ever Thursday Night Football game. Now 2-3 in such games.
So the game, what do you think overall? I thought it was a pretty good Thursday night game. I thought the Rams showed up. They defended their home field. Of course, the Rams winning, beating the Vikings. Some controversy. We'll talk about that in just a few moments here. But the Vikings and the Rams locked horns in Hollywood last night. Well, it really wasn't Hollywood, I guess.
It's technically Inglewood, I suppose. If you're
30-20 final score. Vikings dropped to 5-2. Rams, meanwhile, moved to 3-4, and they're in a tie now with the Arizona Cardinals. Good game overall. I think that maybe the Rams are potentially going to be a force to be reckoned with. Stafford having 279 yards passing, threw for 4 touchdowns, gave up 1 pick. Kyron Williams, thank you very much, 23 carries, 97 yards. And Puka Nacua, 7 receptions for 106. That's your leading receiver and ball carrier for the Rams. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold threw for 240, had 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones ran for 58 yards on 19 carries. And JJ, I mean, what do you say about Justin Jefferson other than 8 receptions for 115? I mean,
and that circus catch on the sideline, the ball
good
hit
night.
The defender, it hit him in the shoulder, it hit him in the face. He pins it on the helmet, he hauls it in, he keeps control, he gets both feet down. Like, it just, there's the amount of body control that took is insane.
Oh, absolutely. Reminded me of a pinball game I used to play back in the high school days of yours truly. It was called 8-Ball Deluxe. The pinball bouncing all over the place. You had to aim for specific targets to get the high score. At one point, if you got a specific a specific target, it would release 3 balls at one time on your pinball deluxe, your 8-Ball Deluxe, and you'd be playing 3 balls simultaneously.
Wow, it's impressive.
It was a regular thing for years truly.
I bet.
During the lunch hours, we'd whip over to the deli / liquor store
/ arcade, apparently.
Yeah, well, it had a pinball machine in there.
Yeah, it counts. It counts.
888-368-1580, the text line. But look, I mean, break it down for us, Keon. What last night's game? The Vikings got off quick. They had a 7-point lead going into the second quarter. Rams tied it up. Then at halftime, the Rams came out. They really scored 7 points in the third, and they had a touchdown and a field goal in the fourth. That's how they won the game. Meanwhile, the Vikings couldn't get the ball in the end zone, and then there was a controversial call. Break it down for us, Keon. What did you see last night?
Yeah, I saw something that the Vikings have had as a weakness, I think, all season long, which is that they get out to these hot starts and then they let their opponent back in the game. They lose to Detroit earlier in the year. They start off with a 10-point lead in the first quarter, then 21-point Detroit second quarter, just straight up 21 unanswered points by the Lions. They won the game versus the Jets when they were in jolly old London. But if you remember, they were up early and then they let the Jets kind of come back late. They did manage to close out that game. Same thing happened against the Packers, except even worse because they got up to a massive lead. And then Jordan Love found whatever it is that he needed to find deep within himself, because then that fourth quarter, Jordan Love and the Packers come out slinging. And that secondary for Minnesota that was doing a really good job all of that game suddenly starts to fall apart. And so now you're kind of watching history repeat itself again here with the Rams, where the Vikings get out to that lead and then the Rams answer, and the Vikings don't seem to have enough left in the tank to carry them to the end of games. So like they've got to do a better job of whatever energy they start the game with. They've got to have way more consistency continuing on through the game. And also just when you look at that secondary, there's a lot of things about that secondary that can cause a lot of turnovers, that can cause a lot of havoc for an offense because they have to communicate. Brian Flores lets those guys basically decide what it is that they're doing out there on the field. There's no other defense that works like it. But we're starting to see like there are cracks in that. There are ways that can blow up in their face a little bit. When you have a team that's going to pressure that secondary with Cooper Kupp, with Puka Nacua, and they're going to pressure it over and over and over again, the Vikings essentially have to play flawless football on the back end of that defense. And we're seeing this season, it's good at times, it's not flawless.
I will tell you that Matthew Stafford looked like he had an infusion of the fountain of youth last night. Did you see the same thing? Because he seemed to have a little more energy now that he had Puka Nacua back, and he had what's his name again? That's it. Buggy in the horse-drawn buggy.
He just looks Amish. He's not actually Amish.
Shaves with hedge clippers.
Why did he? Why did he tell his barber to give him the Emmanuel cut? I don't know. The Hiram, but he did, and that's just what we're all stuck looking at.
And then I saw him after the game on Scott Van Pelt on the Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt, and for some reason he couldn't figure out how to get his hair out of his eyes, and he put a ball cap on, and he looked like the dog from My Three Sons. If anybody remembers My Three Sons. Old Shep. Shep, I think was the dog's name.
We've just insulted Cooper Kupp. And
I'm not trying to insult him, but that's what it looked like to me.
Three different ways today. Oh my God. No, but I don't disagree with you. I mean, like when you talk about Matthew Stafford, I don't know that he found the fountain of youth so much as he got two good receivers back. His best receiver, his most consistent, was like Tutu Atwell. Well, I like Tutu Atwell, but that's not a number one or a number two receiver.
No,
and that's the guy that they rolled out with and just tried to make it work.
Yeah.
So now we're going to see the Rams not necessarily at full strength, but at least being able to play football more in line with their actual identity, which is that they want to be aggressive in the passing game. And then that opens up so much of the running game for them. Look at what happened with Kyron Williams. Once you have to stretch your defense to defend the pass, all of a sudden you've got a guy who's a very good running back, but now he's got the room to actually breathe and make defenses pay.
Let's Latina Leprechaun back on the text line trying to explain to us, you've never heard of kreplach? It's a Jewish thing. And then she has left some sort of a soup recipe, chicken / kreplach soup. Kreplach, maybe.
I don't know, but I looked it up. It does look good. I've just never had it before.
What is in the kreplach soup? Chicken / kreplach.
Well, let's see. It's got chicken, carrot chunks, celery chunks, parsnip chunks, garlic, dill, thyme, bay leaves, peppercorns.
So you mean just chicken soup?
Yeah, you can put the chicken in dumplings, make chicken dumplings and have it in
Oh,
the soup.
geez. Have you ever had homemade dumplings before?
Yes. Yes. That's a staple of Guyanese food.
Damn right, it's a
I
staple.
absolutely have, and it's delicious.
Old man saying, will today's show keep you awake? I have no idea. I have really no idea
We
today.
can never promise that stuff. I know what to tell you.
Donnie says if NFL officiating is an effing joke. Is it though?
I mean, it is, but not just because of last night, though it does include last night. Yeah, it's bad. It's been bad.
Fish Tank says, I kind of hate how much joy I get out of Viking loss because there's good people out there who like that team, but
Yeah.
it warms my heart every time they lose. I'm sorry, Chief Skull.
That's the thing, is like there are plenty of Vikings texters on the text line that we like a lot. And then Donnie just has to ruin it for all of them because he can't help himself. He's got to be the biggest troll alive. Why? I don't know. They don't give you awards for it. There's no extra money in it. You're just being a hater for the love of the game, which is certainly a choice.
So everybody has talked about it today, and yes, who was it that just texted in? Everybody's going to talk about the face mask. You're right. Hefty Lefty says everyone's going to talk about the face mask, but they were backed up at that far due to a beautiful coffin corner punt by the Rams punter, a former punter I just wanted to give props to, specialist using a bit of lost art weapon of punting. That's true. Look, the Rams did their job, right?
Yeah.
They backed them up. And just because Sam Bobblehead Darnold has an oversized head, I can't help that he's in the end zone trying to find somebody that's open, and the Rams have them all covered.
Yeah. But that was a great punt. Obviously, like the Rams do a really good job with special teams. Is it Jim Fossil still the special teams coach over there? That guy's awesome.
I don't know. Ralph would know. That's his other team.
That's his other team.
Yeah. So here's what happened in the end zone. Sam Bobblehead Darnold had his face mask grabbed by one finger of the defensive tackle. And it looked like he got part of the face mask and some of the helmet, but the rest of his fingers were kind of around the collar. So if anything, it shouldn't have been a face mask. It should have been a horse collar, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, the hand was very much inside of the face mask.
Well, yeah, the finger. There's a finger in there. I didn't see the whole hand.
Not the hand, but the still image had like all four fingers inside.
It did?
Yeah, I saw an image today. It was just they were all the digits were in there.
Yeah,
all the digits were in there.
Well, here's the quote. The referee on the play, a guy by the last name of Blake. Well, on that play, the quarterback was facing the opposite direction from me, so I didn't have a good look at it. I did not have a look, and what I did not see, the face mask being pulled. Obviously, the umpire had players between him and the quarterback, so he didn't get a good look at it. He was blocked out as well. So that was the thing. We did not see it, so we couldn't call it. We could not see it.
Like that is the procedure of that. But this is why, the people have been talking about why don't you guys have a sky judge? Why don't you have a camera that can capture these things that's immediately reviewed? It's not even it's not something that you have to challenge for. It's not something that the referees need to get together and decide. It's somebody that just has a better angle that can see the play instantly and just radio down to the officials. Hey, maybe you guys just couldn't see it. That was a face mask, or that was a horse collar.
Why can't that play be reviewable? Why can't they throw the challenge flag?
I don't know why they can't. The rules just say they can't. It's kind of arbitrary to a degree which of these you can and can't review, because I understand the idea that like there are just certain plays you might slow the game down if you could review everything, but you still only have a finite number of challenges. Why would that slow the game down significantly? When you're out, you're out.
Well, I mean, if you're going to have a challenge flag, why not challenge what you can challenge instead of only select calls? Why does there have to be only select calls that can be challenged?
Yeah, and I understand that some of them it gets to be so subjective that there's no point in a challenge. Like it's so up to the person watching it, whether it's an official or a coach or whatever. It could go either way. Like holding is one of those calls. Like, I don't know if I want that challengeable because you could literally call holding on every single play in the NFL.
I mean, let's be real here. Come on.
But with something like a face mask, that doesn't seem. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem to be that open to interpretation. Was the hand or any part of the hand in the face mask? Yes or no? Seems that's not subjective to me. Like that should be reviewable.
If you're standing behind the play and you can't see the quarterback's head being unscrewed by a defensive tackle from the other team, what the hell are you looking at? I mean, that's my question here.
Yeah, and I understand that what he's saying is just none of us had the angle because there were players between us. Okay, fine. But then there has to be some way to look at it again.
He's 3 feet from the play.
Why can't there just be somebody up in the box looking? What?
Well, I mean, I get that too.
That just seems like the easiest solution to all of this because how many plays like that have we seen?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that too.
Either solution works. It just, I just need one of them.
Latino Leprechaun says it's pronounced Kreplach.
Kreplach. Okay, I learned a thing.
Did I get it right? Did I have enough? We're going to come back and continue to talk about last night's game. Donnie back on the text line. A few more people commenting on what the hell happened last night. The Vikings, who just 2 weeks ago were undefeated. It's a Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. This update brought to you by Sport Trade. Download the Sport Trade app and use code VSIN to earn 10% cash back on every bet in your first week. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
College football coming up on Saturday. The Arizona Wildcats in Tucson taking on the West Virginia Mountaineers. Arizona, a 2.5-point home favorite, minus 195 on the money line, while West Virginia plus 165. The over-under is at 52.5. Both teams at 3-4. Arizona State with the weekend off. They'll be back November 2nd on the road in Stillwater to take on Arizona State. NBA tonight, the Phoenix Suns in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. Lakers a 1.5 favorite, minus 125 on the money line. Phoenix plus 105, the over-under at 226.5. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
It's fall football on The Fanatic. Catch all the live game play-by-play. Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday day and night NFL games. Plus the Saturday NCAA football game of the week. It's all right here on the Valley's home for football. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Hi, guys. Jeffrey O'Brien here. Have you ever gone to HarmonSolar.com? Well, you really need to, because everything you ever wanted to know about how solar power can save you big on your monthly electric bill is right there. It's online. Through your phone or through your computer, you can learn about tax credits, the equipment they use, look at how they do things for businesses as well as homeowners, see testimonials from happy customers, and I hear they got a pretty good podcast, too. Check it out. Go to HarmonSolar.com. That's HarmonSolar.com.
Doug. Customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. After that, you can also save me, as I'm currently hanging from the edge of a cliff. To recap, number 1, customize and save. Number 2, time allowing, save me. Shoulders separating.
Only pay for what you need at LibertyMutual.com. Savings may vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Head coach Bobby Hurley and Sun Devil men's basketball are ready to join the Big 12 Conference. This season, the Sun Devils host conference foes Baylor, Iowa State, Arizona, TCU, and Houston, all at Desert Financial Arena.
And another steal ahead to Miller, and Miller reverses it up and in, and he's fouled.
Holy moly!
Join the action and get your Sun Devil men's basketball tickets today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
We are getting ready to crown a champion.
Championship weekend is coming back to the desert.
Let's get this party started.
4 title races in 3 days means there will be a buzz in the air all weekend long. Whether from the grandstands, the infield experience, or the hillside, this is your chance to witness history and make championship caliber memories for the whole family. NASCAR Championship Weekend at Phoenix Raceway, November 8th through the 10th. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Ken Barkley here, reminding you to check out You Better You Bet. Why, you ask? Well, because we bring the fun, the insight, and all the wagertainment you need. Plus, hopefully, we win a couple bets along the way. From up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come with them, obviously. Plus, betting analysis from some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. Join myself and Nick Costos and tune into You Better You Bet. Weekdays from noon to 3 on Arizona's sports betting station 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
Welcome back to the Friday edition of the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic. Entering segment 2 of the first hour of the show today. Lots going on. The text line is buzzing. 888-368-1580. Big George says, here's the deal. If you're the Vikings, you cannot put yourself in a situation down 8 on your own 1 and inside your own end zone to get a safety. Regardless of the bad face mask call, I doubt the Vikings were going to drive down the field, score a touchdown, and get a 2-point conversion to tie it. Guess we'll never know now, will we, Big George?
Yeah, and that's the part that sucks to me is we've seen crazy things happen, and the players should be the ones to determine whether or not they could or could not have driven down by not actually doing it, not having that taken away from them by a call that absolutely affected their ability to at least move the sticks on that first pass.
Moldy Tuna Fish says, I think your update guy may have been drinking. It's possible. He said that ASU has a bye this week before taking on the Sun Devils next weekend. I'm pretty sure ASU is not playing themselves next weekend, but okay, let's go with it.
Maybe Kenny Dillingham wrote that in there. The only people who can beat us are ourselves.
Well, I mean, Cincinnati beat him last week.
Well, okay, figuratively, I mean,
old man says WVU -5, half, easy money. WVU -5, half, easy money.
He's talking about West Virginia. They're playing New Arizona.
Old man just following along with the show perfectly. Good job, old man. Good job. Donnie, what's Fish Tank even talking about? His season was over week 3, and his quarterback was 1 hit away from a nursing home. What are you talking about? To be honest with you, I think Tua's coming back this weekend.
And I don't know that the Dolphins season is over. It feels like it's over because they're 2-4.
Yeah.
But they're actually second in that division.
Soft division. 888-368-1580. The fifth letter says, final score tonight, Lakers 124, Suns 2. I don't think that's going to be the score. I just have this funny feeling. I have this funny feeling, fifth letter, that the Suns are going to score more than 2 points. But thank you for texting in and letting me know. The Chosen One says, good afternoon, gentlemen. Tough loss for my Vikings last night. Absolutely terrible no call at the end of the game, but that's one of many reasons they lost. They need to play better on D. Now, see, there's a real fan right there. A guy that can bring out all the reasons why they lost and be okay with it. Not freaking out. His brains are not spilling out all over the place. He's not on, the X or whatever, yelling at people and cursing. Just kind of saying it like it is. Booger Wolf, meanwhile, on the text line says, That food sounds like it will make someone's kerplacht their pants. Now, wait a minute.
It's soup. It's got chicken and carrots in it. What are you talking
Latina
about?
Leprechaun says, well done, Randy. Great job. You could fit in well with the Yiddish community.
I don't know.
Kerplacht.
I didn't realize that Latina Leprechaun also big in the Yiddish community. I was not aware of this.
Maybe she knows people. I don't know.
Internationally known Latina Leprechaun.
CK, Randy, or good afternoon, fellas. Randy Bierme, Rams ML hit nicely. Darnold officially Darnold once again. As I said weeks ago, same old Vikings.
Darnold wasn't even bad in that game.
I didn't think it was.
When you say Darnold again, this isn't even the worst game he's had this year.
Bullseye, I didn't realize they had pinball machines back during the Great Depression, Randy. Very impressive. Well, I didn't grow up in the Great Depression. That was in the 20s. But Bullseye, I appreciate the text. Scratch Me Because says the Vikings' weakness is going to be Sam Darnold's neck if he continues to take face mask sacks.
Well, there's a group of people who wear stripes who can probably help with that if they could see it.
They should call it. Pinocchio, it makes a great point. Dude, how could they not review that face mask in the end zone? If all scoring plays are reviewable and they scored 2 points, how does that happen?
That's, you know what? That's technically a scoring play. That's true. I had not thought about that before this moment.
CK also voting Latina Leprechaun as the Fourth Dimension's United Nations ambassador. That's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good call right there. All right, 888-368-1580. I want to know why they don't have these reviewable calls, Keon. Is it something that the owners are overlooking? Is this something the NFL doesn't want called because it's subjective? Is this something that people in the know? I mean, the guy was 3 feet behind him. He was 3 feet behind the play. Even the defensive tackle grabbed his helmet in disgust after he made the play. And yet the referees didn't throw a flag. They didn't take another look at it. They didn't have an official's timeout. They could do all that, right?
They could. Well, the officials did take a timeout. They did say that as well, that they got together and not one of them saw it. That is what they came to as a conclusion. And because no one of them saw it, they couldn't throw the flag. I think the officials did what they were supposed to do. It's just the entire system is set up to where a play that would be very useful as a reviewed play, especially one that's a safety play. Like the reason we call face masks isn't just because it's no fun. It's because you could seriously injure somebody by wrenching their neck around backwards,
exactly,
like it's the damn Exorcist. So like I just think that they've got to figure out how to, or they've got to figure out to make that play reviewable. That's just flat out cut and dry exactly what it is. There are some plays that aren't reviewable. It almost seems like they don't. There are more plays that are not reviewable than are reviewable. And they almost need this level of controversy to come around to play before they decide to actually make it reviewable. I don't know why.
Speaking of having your head swivel around like in the Exorcist, apparently Tua has cleared the concussion protocols, and he looks like he's going to play against the Cardinals.
It does appear that way.
Tua Tagovailoa is going to play against the Cardinals this weekend. He did practice. He did pass the protocols according to head coach Mike McDaniel, and it looks like that Tua, who followed NFL's 5-step return to participation protocol, including an examination and clearance by an independent neurological consultant, Following Thursday's practice, Tagovailoa examined by independent neurological consultant and cleared to play in Sunday's game. I mean, Mike McDaniel's got to be, he's got to have he's got to be feeling good. Tyreek Hill, he's got to be breathing easier. He's finally going to catch a pass. I don't know that this is good, but I understand Tua making a statement today about this, saying the following, quote, my entire playing career, I've been a competitor, and that is or was sort of my edge when I would run from high school. Even in college, I would do the same thing. But it's a professional setting, and this is the professional level, the best of the best. You just can't be doing that. So definitely got to stay more available for the team, for the organization, and for our guys. End quote. I have to say to that, good luck with that when you're 50.
Yeah, like what about staying there for your wife? What about staying there for your kid? You know?
Where's the organization and your guys going to be at when you're 50 and you can't remember your name and you're slobbering from both sides of your mouth? This kid is only 26 years old.
Yeah. Just got married a couple years ago. I don't know. I always think about that. Just three concussions and kind of each one getting worse than the last one. It just, at some point, you got to let the guy go and not leave it up to him whether or not he's going to go out there, because Tua's going to try to be a tough guy. You know, football's the only thing he's ever wanted to do. Now he's doing it. And through kind of no fault of his own, he's just very prone to concussions. He keeps getting concussions. And it's just getting hard to watch. And it's just something where you're going to feel bad if something happens to Tua again and you happen to be watching that game.
I just wonder, this is just me, I just wonder if he has to sign some sort of release. This would be the NFL's way of doing business. But if he has to sign some sort of release that says, I agree not to sue the NFL because I decided to play football again after a concussion. You know how I don't know if you've ever been in this situation. I'm sure that your mom and dad know about this, Keon. They were in the healthcare community. You know how you have a patient that doesn't want to stay in the hospital, and so they have to sign a release that says that they're leaving the hospital against medical advice, AMA, against medical advice. Yeah. I just have to wonder if Tua had to sign, against medical advice. Tua has decided that the undersigned has decided that he's going to continue to play this game of football.
I wonder. I really do. And I think it's interesting too, because like we've seen guys, walk away from the game with far fewer than what's happened to Tua. I mean, Luke Kuechly was a guy that when he was in the league, he was getting concussions all the time. One of the best linebackers I think I've ever seen. And we didn't get to see a full career for Luke Kuechly because it was just happening so frequently to him that he just decided I've got to walk away. I do think the NFL does need to have some doctors on that. And maybe, and Jeffrey said this the other day, but I think it's a great idea. You're wearing a Guardian cap. When you come back, you don't get to worry about, does my helmet look cool or does it look stupid or whatever? You wear a Guardian cap. End of discussion. Or you don't play. Because we've seen the numbers on how it reduces concussions.
Or you sign this release and you're not holding the NFL liable for any damages from this point on.
I think it's both. Because you may not be able to hold the NFL liable, but the NFL still doesn't want you losing your life on the field. That's still a very bad look, whether or not they're liable. So you may dodge the legal ramifications of this, but you're not going to necessarily be able to dodge the social media, the public relations aspect of this, where if Tua goes out there, gets another concussion and it kills him, this is such a horrific look for the league. I don't even know where to start. It would be catastrophic.
Fish Tank on the text line says the Dolphins are somehow 4.5-point favorites in that Cards game. Seems way too high to me. Does it really though? I mean, Tua's back, and they were just running over everybody before he was concussed and put out of the into the concussion protocol for what was it, 3 weeks? It doesn't seem like it's too high for me.
Yeah, I mean, is there going to be some rust with him coming back? Yeah, probably a little, but this offense has needed somebody with both the arm and the brains to know where the ball is going. Tua's got both of those things, which is weird because, Tua's always described as the guy with no arm. But Snoop Huntley.
Well, I mean,
Snoop Huntley said, hold my beer.
Yeah, I mean, here's what's going to happen. I can tell you what's going to happen inside the huddle. Hey, Tyreek, go long. And they're going to go break. And then Tua's going to fall back 3 or 4 steps and then just chuck it as far as he can. Tyreek runs under the ball. There's not a DB anywhere in sight because Tyreek just burned them. And it's going to be 7-0 before they even have 3 minutes on the board.
Yeah. Mike McDaniel's sitting on a pile of plays right now that he hasn't been able to run yet this year. And what are the odds that the Cardinals see half of them?
Navy Brad says, I think the NFL and the Dolphins should put Tua on the PUP list and retire him. But, you can't go against his will to play. He has a contract. I don't think the Players Union, Navy Brad, is going to allow that to happen. He's passed all the protocols that the NFL has in place that both the NFL and the NFLPA have agreed upon. It doesn't matter. We're going to talk about here in just, an hour or so. We're going to be talking about another, athletic trainer that's suing a team over another athlete's injuries. And he was fired because he brought up some noise about another athlete's injuries. We'll talk about that later on. But I think in this case, Navy Brad, it's the NFL. This is going to put butts in seats. This is going to put eyes on the screen. Everybody's going to want to see how Tua recovers, right? America wants to see a great shipwreck. Why do you think reality TV is so big in this country? Let's see here. Latina Leprechaun says, well, I was raised Jewish by my parents, so I am very familiar with the Yiddish community. Learned a lot of good recipes from my mom. She's a fantastic cook and baker. Her hamantash, rugalash are incredible.
That's really cool.
I've never heard of hamantash.
I've never heard of these things either, but to be fair, that's not exactly a culture I've been that close to. So that sounds good though.
Let's see here. Booger Wolf says, you know why they call him Bullseye? Because he wears Target on his butt cheeks. Ha 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 ha.
That's just sad. I don't even think we should throw a whistle or blow a whistle there. Throw a
I'm
flag.
not going to waste my breath.
It's not even worth it. Wow.
We got to take a break. We'll old man. I see you. Donnie, I see you. Big Jake, I see you. We'll get more of your Seabass, I see you. On the text line, we'll get more of your text at 888-368-1580. And we'll continue talking some more about this Tua Tagovailoa, and also who got fined for the hit on Chris Godwin. We'll talk about that next on the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect? Please? I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
Hey guys, Jeffrey O'Brien here. Did you know Harman Solar has gone super high tech? There's an amazing tool at harmansolar.com that'll give you an instant ballpark solar estimate using satellites from space. You just type in a little information, and within seconds, you'll have an idea of just how little money it takes to save big on that monthly electric bill. I did it, and within seconds, they measured my roof and calculated my savings. It's very impressive. Go to harmansolar.com and give it a try yourself. That's harmansolar.com.
AZ Preps 365, your source for all the news, info, highlights, and more. Athlete news and interviews. Talk with coaches. Keep you up to date with the changes, moves, upcoming events, and more. AZ Preps 365, Arizona's ultimate prep sports show. If you miss a minute, you miss a lot. AZ Preps 365, Saturday mornings 8 till 10 on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, and always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Now open in Scottsdale. It's United Porte Custom Door Showroom with 40,000 Euro doors and hundreds of state-of-the-art designs and finishes on display, plus kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and more, all at wholesale prices. Builders, contractors, designers, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Porte, P-O-R-T-E. Stop by to see and feel the quality. United Porte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
The most important event in sports could happen at any time. Like right now. Or right now. Or even now. Don't miss history. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or at 1580thefanatic.com.
You are tuned in to the Daily Blender as we head to segment 3 on this Friday. 888-368-1580, humming along here. That's our text line. That's where the fourth dimension sneaks in and helps us do these Friday shows. Let's see here. Navy Brad says, didn't the Cardinals play the 49ers on a Monday night? In the Monday back in the day and knocked out Steve Young and his football career was over? Boy, I don't know. That's some history I don't know about, Navy Brad. Scratch Me Because says, as the self-appointed official Jew of the fourth dimension, I highly recommend that you contact Radio Ron or Dylan Cohen for the proper pronunciation of unknown Jewish cuisine. Randy struggles with the word kreplach, was quite painful for us chosen people to listen to. Well, I mean, but what kreplach? How was that? Was that better? Scratch Me Because? I mean, Seabass, breaker, blender boys, come in. Do you read me? You're breaking up a little bit. I'm hoping Hawk Tua doesn't get hurt anymore. I think he should have retired to save his life. All the best to him and his Dolphins. Over. See, again, I think I should just kind of go like, I don't know, Keon, like, you know, like that squelch blast when guys are talking on the radio.
Yeah.
Big George, Randy, will you be doing a World Series preview? Oh, I didn't know. I didn't. Is there a game tonight?
There is a game tonight. That's what our good friend Ralph is preparing for.
Radio Ron says pronounced Krepla.
So here's how the end.
Krepla.
Krepla. Okay. Well, whatever it is pronounced as, Krepla, it looks delicious. As for the end of Steve Young, he had multiple concussions coming up on the end of his career. He was knocked out in that Cardinals game. But specifically, the league did not make Steve Young quit. The Niners said, you're retiring or we will not re-sign you. We're not adding you back. You want to retire a Niner. We know it's important to you. you're walking away now. The team essentially came up to him and said that. And I'll be honest about the Dolphins. I don't think that this team would be willing to do that for Tua. I don't think they'd be willing to approach him and say, for you, walk away from this game. Obviously Steve Young, I think, accomplished much more in the window of time that he was the starting quarterback of the Niners. And he was literally at his career's end, where someone like Tua's in his prime, but that's what it would take. The league didn't force Steve Young to leave. The Niners did, because they said they were going to release him if he did not retire.
I think Steve Young probably was very affected by all those concussions, marrying a woman that was about half his age. So
I don't think that that's a concussion thing. I think that's just
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure he thinks he's half as old as he actually is.
General creepy old guy thing. Because I mean, how do you explain Bill Belichick? That guy doesn't have concussions in his history.
Again, I think Bill was living in a fairyland, fantasy.
Yeah,
world.
I'm just saying you don't need concussions to get to that mindset. There are a lot of guys who have done exactly that.
888-368-1580. Oh, come on, Donnie, relax. All these haters coming out today only to have the Vikings still make the playoffs in the end. 9-10 win season coming. I'll bet anyone a pizza. Come on, Donnie. Relax.
Nobody's taking it that seriously.
Just easy does it.
Your team lost in a primetime game. It's kind of funny. That's it. That's all. There's no extra levels to this. No one needs to bet you a pizza over 9 or 10 wins. I don't think that anybody truly believes the Vikings are done.
Right.
It's just your team lost in primetime to a team they should have smacked around. And it's kind of funny. That's all. Sometimes stuff's just funny.
Hefty lefty, I see that, and we're going to talk about that. Is it next hour or the hour after? I don't know when, but we are going to talk about that out of El Segundo, California. We'll talk about that. Let's see here. Big Jake, talk about all the need for the eye in the sky. The NBA needs one for all those to reverse the 299 bad calls per game. For the life of me, I can't understand how the WNBA refs have such a better whistle and don't call every little bump and allow an acceptable amount of physicality.
See, this is when people you make fun of me all you want to. I like to watch the WNBA because honestly, I like the game more, and a lot of that has to do with the officiating. Does it get sketchy at points? That's every sport. But for the most part, nah, they call a better game over there than in the NBA. And I do not understand why, with the amount of money around the NBA and all that the NBA generates, and how people will be quick to tell you how much more valuable the NBA is than the WNBA. Why do your refs suck? That is the only question I need answered, because I agree. They don't need an eye in the sky. Some of these refs will literally be looking at the ball or looking at the foul call and just get it wrong. And what do you do with that?
Lost Toby on the text line says he had a brain development of someone half his age. You mean Steve Young or Bill Belichick?
Or any of the other guys that have done it in the history?
Well, who else has done that?
Who else? Jerry Seinfeld?
Seinfeld? He's got like a woman half his age?
Yeah, not half his age, probably more. Like she just in the 20s, in the low 20s.
What the hell?
Leonardo DiCaprio, notoriously low 20s.
Well, he hasn't married anybody though.
Okay, but what difference does that make?
And Belichick, that's a girl.
What difference does that make?
I remember that Everybody Loves Raymond thing when his big brother had that gal that said she was really young. She actually turned out to be 18.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying, this is not just a Steve Young, Bill Belichick thing. Like, this is a lot of people have done exactly that. So,
no, thank you. I'm very, very happy with Miss Kim. She's a little younger than me. She had a birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday to Miss Kim.
Well, thank you. I don't mean thank you.
On behalf of her, and I hope
yes,
extend the birthday wishes from me to her.
Anyway, yeah, lots of stuff going on here. Big Jake says, "Don't hate the player, hate the game. It's not tricking you if you got it. Any old guy who can snag something young and hot, celebrate. Don't hate."
Nah, I just still think it's gross. Just because you can Okay. I still think it's gross. Just you have nothing in common if you're 62 years old. You have nothing in common with someone who's 21. Absolutely nothing. I just no.
Who was Monday Night Football? It was Don Dandy Don Meredith. It was Frank Gifford. Oh, Frank Gifford. So he married what was her name? She was pretty young towards him, right? I mean, he already got his brains bashed in by playing the NFL without all these requirements and health precautions in place. I think he played back in the leather helmet era. Frank Gifford. And we could see what happened. She's now alone. Frank Gifford just wandered off one night into the woods. We've never seen him again.
Wait, did that actually happen?
I don't know.
No. I was like, hold on.
Probably. Kiss the Cook says money gets you young honey. Okay.
All right. Just because it works doesn't mean you should do it. That's just
Big Jake says my lady's much older than I am.
No, congrats. I don't like the people who it's working out for. I guess it's working out for. I'm not the police. I'm not going to sit here and show up and
I have all of a sudden
ruler or something.
I've erupted into a coughing fit here.
I could see you trying to get the words out between coughing sessions.
And I don't have Jeffrey's copyrighted cough towel. I don't have that. Latina Leprechaun says Jessica Seinfeld is not in her 20s. She's currently 53. She was 28 when she married Jerry at the age of 45. Nothing wrong with them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm talking about his history of dating women that young, not specifically the woman he's with right now. Like there were other women before we got to her. That were.
You mean like the gal that made him wear that shirt, that pirate shirt? The close talker? Is that what you're talking about? The close talker?
I don't know.
She was the close talker, and she made him wear the pirate shirt on TV. Oh, it's a thing. You got to watch the Seinfeld show.
I've only seen a few episodes here and there.
I always thought he and Elaine made a great couple. They're both crazy. They're crazy as loons, both of them. All right, 888-368-1580. Lots of texts here to go through. Coming up next hour here on the Daily Blender, we've got Keon Rose's college football dance party. We've got some news about the Lakers and Bronny James. A trainer is suing his former team for coming forward about one of the players' injuries, and he was fired. And then what's happening with RD8 in New York? He got a vote of confidence from John Mara. We'll talk about that next here on the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
Imagine your team always looking and feeling their best in high-performance technical workwear. Cintas can make it happen. They have garments for almost every job imaginable. And with the Cintas Workwear program, you get freshly laundered garments delivered every week for everyone on your team. Great garments without the bother of laundry. That's a real perk for employees. Find out how Cintas can boost team image and morale. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
What's better than one win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get one line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
In most countries of the world, Forte means door. United Forte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
All right, people, settle down. Because it's time.
Time for what? Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
Welcome, everybody, to a Friday edition of the Daily Blender. It's 4 o'clock straight up as we broadcast live from the Harvard Solar Studios, beautiful uptown Scottsdale. My name is Randy White. Right over there, the sexiest man in sports talk radio, that's Keon Rose. Jeffrey O'Brien out today. We'll be back on Monday, we hope. You are the fourth dimension, texting in at 888-368-1580, our text line. And it is so good to have you along with us. Got a lot to cover this hour on the Daily Blender. The NFL is fining the defensive player who put that hit on Chris Godwin. We'll talk about that in just a moment. How about Jaden Daniels? What's his health like? I'm sure Keon is waiting to find out. Also, BB-8. I've been saying RD8, and I mean BB-8, the head coach of the New York Football Giants.
Oh, man.
According to the owner, has got a vote of confidence.
The dreaded
BB-8.
vote of confidence.
And later on this hour, here in about 17 and a half minutes, it'll be Keon Rose's college football dance party. You'll have to stick around for that. Later on this date in Big Georgia sports history and a whole lot more. Do you have like TV and movie quotes that kind of live in your head all the time, Keon?
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a big on the spot person. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But usually there's some response. Maybe the Big Lebowski. If someone has an opinion or something that I disagree with, but I don't necessarily feel like it's worth arguing over, I'll just go, that's like totally your opinion, man. That's probably one I go to a lot.
Totally your opinion, man. Yeah, I mean, I have them. Earlier today, Miss Kim I was telling her something and I had to leave the room and she says, well, bye. Because that's from Tombstone. That's a movie quote from Tombstone. And sometimes when she asks me to do something, I'll say, well, I'll be your Huckleberry. See, that's from Tombstone. See, I have some. Maybe later on in the show, we'll talk about movie and TV quotes that have taken up space in our head. And the texters, maybe the texters want to text in. Again, at 888-368-1580. And tell us some of their favorite TV or movie quotes that live in their head.
The movie knowledge on this text line it's immense.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of it. So I'm excited.
So last hour we talked about Tua being back, and we had a good discussion about whether we think it's right or not. It doesn't matter what we think. Tua has decided he wants to play football, and he's a competitor. When he's 58, he might just slobber and have to eat soft meals. But until then, he's going to play the NFL. And that means that the Cardinals will face Tua Tagovailoa and the fully realized Death Star that is that offense down there in Miami. You might hear my dog in the background. He's a spazzo. That's Cecil back there.
He just wants to be part of the show.
Well, it's not that he wants to be part of the show. It's his friend Blue. Since Blue has come into the house, he has learned how to tease Cecil. You don't hear Blue barking; you just hear Cecil, and that's what you hear: Cecil barking. Sad news from the sports world today. Keon, I want to get your take on this. He was a young man. Had a simple medical procedure going on, and unfortunately, he passed away. I'm talking about Kennesaw State's head coach, Abdur Rahim, and Amir Abdur Rahim, that's it. And he passed away yesterday at 43 years old. Kind of a shocker. It was something... He died following complications during a medical procedure. And at 43, I can't imagine something minor. I can't imagine it would be something that they were like, it wasn't like it was like an appendix surgery or even that's kind of a simple thing anymore. But I mean, he passed away so early, and a lot of talk is coming out about what kind of a guy this is, what kind of a person Amir Abdur Rahim is, why his players loved him, why former players loved him, why people wanted to be around him, why they wanted to be a part of whatever he was doing, why the students at Kennesaw State loved him. It was a guy that apparently he was one of those special people, that no matter what he says or does, seems to impact lives in positive ways. So what can you tell us, Keon, about Abdur Rahim and why he was such a beloved character there at Kennesaw State?
Well, part of it is just like his connection to the basketball community. He's, been around the NBA for a long time. His brother, Sharif Abdur Rahim, played for 13 years in the NBA. You want to have a good session watching some NBA highlights, look up Sharif Abdur Rahim. Like that's the kind of connection to the NBA that he had. And he took that connection and he tried to spread that love of basketball, in multiple places, everywhere that he coached, because it wasn't just Kennesaw State. He was an assistant at Georgia and Texas A&M and Charleston. But Kennesaw State, I think, is special because that was his chance to be the head coach and kind of put his imprint on what a program could be. And all the players loved him. He's a player's coach, and that's when you have a guy and you look across, the record maybe, and the record isn't, he's won 70% of his games or something like that. But the players are still saying, no, we learned a lot about this game of basketball from this coach, and not just about this game of basketball, but also about life, and I think that we lose sight of that very often in college athletics, that this wasn't a business originally like it is now. And there are still some coaches that are willing to put up with all of the things that are wrong with college athletics. And we don't have to rehash everything, but the NIL, the transfer portal, all of that stuff. There are still some coaches that are like, hey, empowering the student athletes, the student first, more so than the athlete, that the coaches that don't forget that, the coaches that don't lose that, those guys are rare. And Amir Abdur Rahim was one of them.
So in a statement released by his brother, Sharif, you bring up Sharif, It said, quote, on behalf of my family, I want to express our gratitude to all who have reached out regarding Amir's passing. Please remember that our family, keep our family in your prayers. As Sunset Amir would say, to God be the glory, end quote. He was the fourth oldest of 13 siblings. Amir Abdur-Rahim came from a basketball family. Sharif, the number 3 overall pick in the 96 NBA draft, played 13 seasons in the league. Amir Abdur-Rahim followed in his older brother's footsteps, averaging 19.5 points and earning an All-Southland Conference honors 3 straight times while playing guard for Billy Kennedy at Southeastern Louisiana. Abdur-Rahim once explained that he decided to dedicate himself to coaching while working as a graduate assistant under Kennedy at Murray State. Players would describe the goals that they wanted to achieve to Abdur-Rahim, but he said their habits didn't match those words. That was a quote from him. It was Abdur-Rahim's hope that he could teach life through basketball and help the players he coached avoid the pitfalls, as he once put it. I just want them to have a great example of what a man looks like, what a leader looks like, what a husband and father looks like, end quote. So clearly a really big character guy, a guy that his heart was really in what was going on. And so unfortunately, I was saying Kennesaw State, I meant University of South Florida men's basketball coach Abdur-Rahim.
He did start at Kennesaw State as far as being a head coach goes.
Yeah.
And it's just, sad because he was turning into a fantastic coach on the basketball end too. The record's not going to really show it because he never got to that point. But his first year at Kennesaw State, they won a single game, one out of 29. And by the time he was done at Kennesaw State, they were 26-9. And then obviously the South Florida season, they only had one, but 25-8, concluding all of that. So, I mean, this was a guy that was not just somebody who was pushing others to grow. He was growing himself as a head coach. And, well, we were robbed of seeing what he could have became.
Well, in the post-game locker room speech that he gave, that season-ending 72-67 loss to Xavier, Abdur-Rahim stood in front of a whiteboard that only had the words, quote, "Love wins," end quote, scrawled in the upper right-hand corner. He says, quote, "Fellas, we won because you guys love each other," end quote. Quote, we won because you guys committed to each other. We won because when times got hard, y'all dudes didn't back down," end quote. "These are tears of joy," he added. "I ain't disappointed one bit." Wow. So there it is. Rest in peace, sir, and Godspeed to you. And sad news in the sports world. Sorry, we had to. I mean, I feel like when I was reading this article, I had to say something about it. This is such a cool coach. This is the kind of guy I'd want my sons coached by, or I would want to be coached by. A man with great character, a man that wanted to teach about life and teach how to play the game correctly and stand tall. When times got tough. That's what I feel like Amir Abdur-Rahim did for his guys. So rest in peace, sir. And I'm sure your players and your friends and your family will miss you greatly. 888-368-1580. The NFL levied a fine for that hit on Chris Godwin that took him out for the rest of the season. Apparently, Roquan Smith is the culprit, and the NFL has searched him out, and they have fined him $16,833 for a hip drop tackle that ended Godwin's season. Now, here we go. I'm going to talk about the NFL for a minute. Do these guys know what it is to be consistent? I don't think they do. And I'll tell you something else. I think depending on who you are on whatever team you're on is going to depend on what kind of fines you will get and how these fines will be levied against you. Would you agree or disagree with that, Kia?
I mean, the fines stay the same as far as like whatever the fine is for a hip drop tackle, that doesn't go up or down. Really, it's pretty much the same. It's one of those things you wish they would have caught on the field. Like, that's insane to me that here's a tackle you're not allowed to do. And we really didn't know about it until today. Because
Mhm.
partially because they refused on the broadcast, and I think wisely refused on the broadcast to replay the hit. Because of course, by the end of it, Chris Godwin's foot was pointing backwards. So nobody wanted to see that, but like that, it shouldn't have taken this many days for us to find out that it was a hip drop tackle that took out Chris Godwin.
I don't think it took him this long to figure it out.
Or to finally levy the fine. It's Friday. We're rolling into week 8 right now. Like, week 8 has officially started, and the fine is just now being levied. And I understand doing your due diligence, but like, if you saw the footage and found Roquan Smith and saw what he did days ago, why wait until Friday? That's something I don't necessarily understand.
It just it boggles my mind that the NFL seems to. Okay, you say it's the same for no matter who does what, but I mean, what are the referees doing if they're not going to make the call on the field? And I know we've talked a lot about referees today. We talked about the face masking call, non-call, I guess, from last night's game, and now we're talking about another non-call in a game. It's looking more and more like the NFL is being their own referee, not the referees on the field. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like they're doing a lot of the officiating after the fact. Which is nice. Like, it's something, but Roquan Smith gets to continue to have a season. Chris Godwin doesn't, and getting teams to lose this. Like, I don't know how much money this is going to set Roquan Smith back by, like, the $16,000. I don't know how badly that hurts him or what that means to him, but the team being punished for that actually on game day would have made a difference. It would have. I think that sends a stronger message as opposed to this fine that you have to kind of dig for it if you want to find out that it happened.
Well, Roquan Smith is a little lighter in his pocketbook today, $16,833 for the hip drop tackle that has been outlawed by the NFL. More to come, I'm sure. There's going to be more and more fines and calls that we're going to be seeing about these hip drop tackles from the NFL. I think it's unfortunate that you can't make the call on the field. Again, like you said, like Jeffrey has said many times, why don't we have an on-field or at facility, eye in the sky, a judge in the press box taking a look at all the camera angles? Can't tell me, because I worked in the industry. I know what you can do, and you can get feeds of all the camera angles, and you can see a play from any situation you want, from a handheld camera to the immobile cameras that are placed throughout the stadium. You can see anything and everything. You can even see playback, so you can slow it down and look at it at varying speeds to make the right call to protect these guys and to get the calls correct. Look at the face mask call last night. I mean, again, what is it going to take for the NFL to institute something like this?
I have no idea, because they've had plenty of incentive. They've missed plenty of calls. I don't know why not. And look, that awful, awful disaster of a league that didn't even finish their season because they ran out of money to pay players. In fact, they still owe players, but the league no longer exists, so none of those guys are getting paid. That Alliance of American Football, if you can think all the way back to when that was a thing, they had a sky judge. They had a person up in the booth that was able to see all the camera angles in exactly the way you just described. And the NFL, years later, still hasn't figured something that a failed football league figured out on their first try.
888-368-1580. Jonesy on the text line says the rug really tied the room together.
No, that's that's another good one. That's another Big Lebowski. Rug really brought the room together. Is that a marmot? That's another one that I have lots of Big Lebowski quotes, though.
Okay. I'm glad you know that one.
I do love that movie.
I thought he was maybe, texting his wife and inadvertently had texted us. Navy Brad said last season we saw Hamlin die on the field and brought back to life. I really hope that won't happen to Tua. that game was hard to watch. Yeah,
Yeah,
it really
was hard to watch. And the thing is with Hamlin, that was just a freak accident. That's a freak injury that your heart stops because the helmet hits you at just the time that your heart is beating. Like that's simply not going to happen multiple times. This has already happened multiple times to Tua. And guess what? There isn't a pair of defibrillators for a brain. Once that goes, it's over. There is no coming back from that. And I think the NFL I think they're playing with fire here by either not forcing Tua to wear the helmet that would protect him better or forcing him out of the league. I don't want to. I like Tua. I've liked Tua since he was playing football at Alabama. I do not want to see this guy lose his life over the game of football. It's just not that important.
Chosen One says Vikings have played above their potential all year. Offenses seem to figure out our defense, and we're not making adjustments. We also lost a starting O-lineman, which wasn't great. We do have to get 10 days. We do actually get 10 days off and get Hawkinson back next week. Still a playoff team, which no one would have predicted, especially with Darnold at quarterback. I would agree with that. I don't think that the Vikings are in trouble here. They're facing some adversity.
I think saying the Vikings are in trouble is a little bit of an overreaction. You're not going to make it through most NFL seasons without a loss. So, you took one loss against a very tough team, divisional rival, divisional game. It was, by the way, a close game. It wasn't, you didn't get boat raced. And then you play a lesser opponent on a short week. You're on the road. I'm not saying that that's the only reason that they lost, but those are also factors. You get to reset a little bit after your 10-day rest. It's kind of treated like another bye, kind of, and come back ready to play.
Let's see here. I can't do that. Old man, I can't say that. That's not why younger women come to older men. Come on. Give me a break.
Oh, my God.
Let's see here. The Moist One says, smoking. Seems like that's maybe a Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Yeah. Or no, that's a Mask one. Yeah, I agree. That's what that sounds like. You can correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, we're talking about TV or movie quotes that stick in your head all the time. Prison Wallet says one that I like a little bit cringe, and given the times, doesn't really hold up. Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused says, "You know what I like about high school girls?"
That's a horrible one, but it's also it does stick in the mind.
Pinocchio says, "Yippee-ki-yay, mother."
Yeah, that's another great one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Randy Shuckle, "I'm a man. I could change if I have to, I guess." Red Green.
I still haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen the Red Green show? Oh my gosh.
I know of it. I have not actually seen it.
The women need to find you handy if they can't find you handsome. I mean, there you go. Red Green in all of his glory right there.
Wisdom.
Big George says, "Rest in peace, Amir Abdul Rahim." Thanks so much. Yeah, he was very, very young at only 43 years old. All right, let's take a break. We're late for a break. When we come back, it's Keon Rose's college football dance party right here on the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Sports betting apps are not created equal. Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here to talk about the Sport Trade Advantage. With higher payouts, Sport Trade is the ultimate sports betting experience. Sport Trade is the first sports betting app that gives you the option to see the odds expressed as probabilities, and it's changing in-game betting forever. If it's easier to understand 52% probability of winning versus minus 108 odds, then Sport Trade is for you. With this percent odds feature, cashing out now makes much more sense. As the win probability changes, so does the value of your bet. And if you're an experienced bettor and prefer American odds, you'll get pricing closer to minus 106 versus the normal minus 110, coupled with instant in-play betting. No more spinny wheels. So download Sport Trade today to see the difference and beat the book. Use promo code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet you place in your first week. Terms apply.
Sport Trade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
You okay?
Sorry, I can't sleep with this cough.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with NyQuil VapoCool. It's NyQuil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
So you ready to get some sleep? Thank you, NyQuil VapoCool.
NyQuil VapoCool, the vaporizing nighttime coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harmon Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. One, visit harmonsolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call, 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmonsolar.com.
The GCU men's basketball squad is coming off their winningest season in 35 years, their third trip to the NCAA tournament in 4 years, and their first ever NCAA tournament victory. Returning 4 of their 5 starters in Ray Harrison, Colin Moore, Duke Brennan, and reigning WAC Player of the Year, Tyon Grant Foster, the Lopes look to defend their WAC titles and make a run to the Sweet 16. With a non-conference slate, including Stanford, Georgia, and crosstown rival Arizona State, you won't want to miss a moment of the action. So join me, Michael Potter, and Lopes insider Paul Coro all season long right here on the home of the Lopes, 1580 The Fanatic. Lopes up.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here, host of You Better You Bet, reminding you to check out the show. Now, why should you check out You Better You Bet? Because we bring you the most fun. We bring you the most insightful, the most entertaining show in the wagertainment world. From up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come alongside them. Plus, you'll get the best betting analysis anywhere from myself, Ken Barkley, and some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. So tune in weekdays, noon to 3 on Arizona sports betting station, 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
Welcome back to the Daily Blender on this Friday as we head into segment number 2 of the 4 o'clock hour. We talked about a lot of things going on, but right now, I think you know what time it is. Right now, it's time that everybody looks forward to. It's that time for Keon Rose's college football dance party. And I don't have backgrounds like Jeffrey usually does. I'll just be on with it.
Jeffrey's the only one who's
got
gone
above
and beyond.
background. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Ralph has some. No, Ralph doesn't have backgrounds. He's got lights.
That's true. Ralph decided to go with this with the practical effects.
Yeah. But Jeffrey's, if you've never seen it, you need to log in on the YouTube and watch us there. Anyway, let's get underway, Keon. I know that you're kind of biting at the old collar. Let's go. Last night at Syracuse, you would have thought Syracuse was going to win that game, but Pitt, being number 19, had 4 defensive turnovers, pick sixes. Was it 4 or 3? 3 or 4 pick sixes. So let's move on to tonight's big game, which is number 17 Boise State at home. Away on the road against UNLV. This is a big game. It's going to be on the CBS Sports Network if you want to watch it. And if in case you have a private jet and you want to, just go there right now, fly over to Vegas and catch this game. Tickets are starting at $54. But Keon, number 19 Boise State UNLV.
But before we get to the Boise State UNLV, that was 3 pick sixes for the Pitt Panthers to get over on top of the Syracuse Orange. So, yeah, we're going to take a look at this Boise State UNLV. This is a really good game. I am a big fan of watching Boise State football, and a lot of it has to do with their running game and Ashton Jeanty, who is very much in the Heisman conversation as he should be. He looks unstoppable. He looks like a juggernaut when he's out there. But this might be the week where the Boise State Broncos are slowed down or stopped. UNLV, they're 6-1 right now. They're not ranked in a way that feels a little unfair because they were one of those teams that people thought they could wind up making the playoff and really making people recognize what's going on in the Mountain West. But then they lose a tough game to Syracuse. But this is the toughest run defense in the entire conference. And the bread and butter of the Boise State Broncos is running the football. If you have a back like Ashton Jeanty, why the hell wouldn't it be? So I believe that Boise State's going to come out. They're going to try and feed him, try to get him going. But I actually think UNLV might be able to pull off the upset here because, these two programs are very familiar with each other, and they're not exactly friends. And, Ashton Jeanty is going to go up against the toughest run defense that his conference has to offer. I think that this is going to be a fantastic football game, and I think UNLV might pull off the upset right here.
Well, it's a little known fact, but I happen to know that Idaho does want to take over Nevada, so they're not friends. Yeah, they're rivals and enemies.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, yeah, no, that I didn't. That's a piece of information I was missing.
Oh yeah. Well, Nebraska on the road, going to visit number 4 Ohio State. Who wins this game?
Yeah, I think Ohio State wins this game. Like at
Really?
Nebraska has been surprisingly good, but Ohio State they tend to feast on teams that don't necessarily do the best job, against the pass. And it's just, Nebraska's not bad, but they do give up 200 air yards a game, and that's against normal competition. Ohio State, that's what they want to do is sling the rock, and they've kind of hit a little bit of a groove. As of late, obviously got into a really close game with Oregon, and that's their one loss. And you can talk about the 12 men on the field and all that other stuff. But like usually when Ryan Day shows up in a spot where Ohio State is expected to win big, they typically win big. And I think they're going to be able to do that against the Dental Schmuck this Saturday.
So you think they're going to husk the corn then?
I do. I actually do.
All right, two ranked teams are going to battle it out in a classic battle at MetLife Stadium on this weekend. It's going to be happening at high noon on ABC. Number 12, Notre Dame Irish will take on number 24. Yes, I said number 24, the Naval Academy. Does Navy continue on with their winning ways and the Irish get beat? Or is it the other way around, Keon?
Yeah, I think that I think that Notre Dame is in a really good spot in this game. Like, I do like what Navy has done. And obviously, when you look at what Blake Horvath has added to Navy and how they've opened up that offense and how they attack downfield. I mean, he's got a beautiful deep ball that he throws, and the touchdown to interception ratio is insanely good. 10 touchdowns to just 1 interception on the season for Horvath. But I think that Notre Dame can manage this game because they run the football so well. And I think that gives them the ability to kind of set things up for themselves. Kind of saw it when Notre Dame took on Purdue earlier in the year. They were able to set themselves up by running the football, staying ahead of the chains, and not trying to get into a shootout with a team. I think that would be a bad idea to try and get involved in a shootout with Navy. I think that if they're more methodical and use the legs of Riley Leonard, he's your quarterback, but he's also a pretty good rusher of the football and one of your leading rushers on the season, right behind Jeremiah Love, the running back. I think that they can establish some things on the ground and then allow that to open things up in the passing game and keep themselves in front of the Navy midshipmen. I'm going to go with the Irish.
I don't know if I should even talk about this game. I mean, it's Oklahoma, and it seems like Oklahoma's football program needs some work, but they are going to be on the road visiting number 18 ranked Ole Miss. Who do you have in this matchup?
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is just going to win this game. Ole Miss is still, even with some of their missteps throughout the season, they're still the second best offense in all of college football. And that is with the competition that they've gone up against, with the defenses that they've gone up against. They handle everybody. They put points up against everybody, it seems like. And so even games where, they should struggle, defenses that look really good, I think that they have an offense that's electrifying and they can score with anybody. This Oklahoma team doesn't even have that, to hang their hat on. And the defense, which is supposed to be the calling card of this team, they get taken apart by top tier offenses all the time. And it's hard to do a whole lot better than what Ole Miss is bringing to the table this season.
All right. A team that nobody's really talking about when you watch the national shows, nobody's really blabbing a lot about number 11, BYU. And I wonder why it's so quiet about BYU, but yet here they are every week and they stay in the top 15 every week. They just keep fighting. This time they're going to be on the road against the University of Central Florida at FBC Mortgage Stadium. Who do you have here? BYU versus UCF.
Yeah, actually, last week I had a bet on BYU, and I had to sweat that one out coming down to the end because this BYU team, they never, like you said, they never quit. They got to the end of that game, and with about a minute left, it looked like that game was over. And then with 10 seconds to go, it's BYU marching into the end zone to close that thing out. And a lot of that has to do with Jake Retzlaff, their quarterback. Not necessarily someone that I think got a lot of credit coming into the year, but when you look at what he's been able to do, the last handful of weeks, especially, he's been a really special football player, and they've been riding the hot hand of Jake Retzlaff, and what he adds into this offense as a passer, he just is really savvy. He knows how to move around in the pocket. He knows how to find guys that are open, and then BYU can seemingly make whatever stop they need to win games. So they're playing a Central Florida team that honestly they are much better than. They should beat this team and beat them pretty badly. And I think that that's going to happen because I just think that BYU, they seem like they're grateful for the opportunity to really go out there and show what they can do. And they look like the Big 12's finest right now.
Nobody wants to go to Autzen up at in Oregon, and the number 1 Ducks will be waiting when number 20 Illinois deboard the bus to come in and take on the Ducks on Saturday. Number 20 Illinois taking on number 1 Oregon. Call the game for us, Keon.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this, like you said, the advantage does go to Oregon. It's a tough place to travel to. Around this time of year, the weather starts to get a little nastier, a little cold. You start to get some of that, just sprinkles of rain that tend to screw up things for people. Oregon loves to play in that weather. Nobody else really does. And then when you look at what the Ducks have been able to do against a lot of other opponents that they've played, whether that's Purdue, whether that's Michigan State, whether that's UCLA, they got off to hot starts. They build up a big lead and they just never look back. And they're favored to win a lot against Illinois this week. And I think that that's the trend that continues. It's not like Illinois doesn't have an offense that can't keep up. They do. It's not that Illinois doesn't have a team that can perhaps hang with Oregon, at least on the offensive side of the ball. They certainly do. But when you look at what Illinois kind of struggles to stop defensively, it kind of plays into the strength of the Oregon Ducks. And the Ducks don't waste any time just getting points on the board. And I think that that's going to be the case here today. They're going to score fast and they're going to score often.
All right. What about the stubborn 21 Missouri Tigers taking on the number 15 ranked Crimson Tide in Alabama?
Yeah, this is a very important game for Kalen DeBoer, who is the head coach of Alabama, and we'll see for how long that he is, because as they say in Alabama, they're gonna run him out on a rail if he has a 3-loss Alabama season. Yeah, oh boy. This thing might be over before it even starts, and especially one of those losses rather being a loss to Vanderbilt football. No, this is an absolutely huge game for Kalen DeBoer to win. And when you look at the offense, you see Jalen Milroe coming back down to earth a little bit. He started off so incredibly productive. He was putting the ball in the air. He was throwing strikes, and then the accuracy started to go. And then he got a little dinged up, and the deep ball accuracy, which is his calling card, that started to go. And now I don't know exactly what you're trying to do with Jalen Milroe. I think that Alabama probably tries to get back to their roots, establish the running game, get that going first. And I think that they have got a good chance of beating Missouri. I am going to take them just because what I've seen from Missouri's offense isn't exactly anything to write home about either. Like that's also a bad offense. But at least with Alabama, I see a way out or a solution to the problem where Missouri has kind of been surviving games. They don't actually look very good at this point in the year either.
You mentioned Vanderbilt that stole the game from Alabama. Well, your number 5 Texas Longhorns will be visiting Vanderbilt, who are now ranked 25. What say you, Mr. Keon Rose? Texas at Vandy.
Yeah, I think the Longhorns have to beat them up. That's just they know what they have to do. They have put themselves in a very tough spot losing that game to Georgia. And I think that if you mess around here and you end up losing to a Vanderbilt, like that might be an unforgivable sin as far as this fan base goes. They have to go out and smack around Vanderbilt. I know Vanderbilt is 5-2. I do not care. This is a deeply unserious football program. I have covered this team. I have seen this team. I have seen their facilities. If you ever go to Alabama and Tuscaloosa, or you go to Baton Rouge to LSU, you see those facilities, that looks like you're walking into temples to football. You walk to Vanderbilt and they're high schools that have better facilities than the Vanderbilt Commodores, at least in football. All that money is clearly going to baseball and everything else.
Yeah. was going to say.
The baseball facilities are magical. The football facilities, So I think that Texas ought to win this game just on sheer talent, on sheer depth, on sheer want to. They had better do it. I don't think there are any excuses if you lose to Vanderbilt. You can have a few with Georgia. This would be harder to explain.
All right, I think the game of the weekend is when the number 8 LSU Tigers travel to take on the Texas A&M Aggies. Texas A&M ranked 14, and they're going to be at home at Kyle Field. It's a primetime game at 7:30 on ABC. Call the game for us, Keon.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. That at Kyle Field. And you've got
Field.
You've got a really good Texas A&M defense. Like, I think that's the difference maker here, is that I like Garrett Nussmeier. I had a lot of skepticism about him at the start of the year. There were times where he just didn't look like the player he was advertised to be. I'll go ahead and give it up. I think Garrett Nussmeier has turned into a fantastic quarterback. I also think that it's not going to make a lick of difference this year, because I think what he's going to, or this game, is because he's going to see things defensively that have not been thrown at him this season. And there are a lot of players on this Texas A&M squad on the defensive side of the ball that are looking forward to getting their hands on Garrett Nussmeier and making his life hell, essentially. The fact that this offensive line has not been the most consistent thing in college football either is not exactly helping the case of Garrett Nussmeier. I do think that this feels like a pick 'em in large part because you are going to Kyle Field. It's a hard place to play in College Station. So I think the home advantage, I think the defensive advantage, the ability to run the football for the Aggies, the fact that LSU can't, all of those things kind of point to an Aggies win. So I'll take them for the upset.
All right, so let's ask you this. I'm just kind of out of left field here. Upset of the weekend.
Upset of the weekend. Let's see, because I've already gone through a couple, right? I think Texas A&M, LSU is going to be one, and I think UNLV probably over Boise State, just as far as the rankings go, would be the upset of the weekend. Would you say upset of the weekend if it were to happen?
Yeah.
Or okay, if it were to happen, I mean, probably the biggest upset of the weekend would probably be either Vandy over Texas or Nebraska over Ohio State. Those would probably be the two biggest ones that immediately come to mind, because at that point, the season's very ruined.
You don't think Alabama losing would be the upset of the weekend? Because that would for sure put them out of the playoff picture, don't you think?
It would. It would probably be the most important upset. But if we came back to work on Monday and you told me, yeah, can't believe Missouri beat Alabama, I wouldn't be surprised. Alabama has not looked great. It's just that for most of the time, Missouri has looked a little bit worse.
All right. Our text line is 888-368-1580. That's going to wrap up and conclude this edition of Keon Rose's College Football Dance Party. When we come back, is BB-8 safe, according to John Mara, the owner of the New York Giants? We'll find out when we gather next here on the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Sports betting apps are not created equal. Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here to talk about the Sport Trade advantage. With higher payouts, Sport Trade is the ultimate sports betting experience. Sport Trade is the first sports betting app that gives you the option to see the odds expressed as probabilities, and it's changing in-game betting forever. If it's easier to understand 52% probability of winning versus minus 108 odds, then Sport Trade is for you. With this percent odds feature, cashing out now makes much more sense. As the win probability changes, so does the value of your bet. And if you're an experienced bettor and prefer American odds, you'll get pricing closer to minus 106 versus the normal minus 110, coupled with instant in-play betting. No more spinny wheels. So download Sport Trade today to see the difference and beat the book. Use promo code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet you place in your first week. Terms apply.
Sport Trade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
Hello, person listening to the radio. I'm going to tell you about my new Harry's razor while I shave. Each Harry's razor has 5 sharp German-engineered blades and a lubricating strip with aloe for extra comfort. It's an incredibly smooth, comfortable, and close shave.
Are you almost finished in there? Who are you talking to in the bathroom?
I'm making an ad for Harry's.
I hope you have clothes on.
Doesn't matter if I do or don't. It's a radio ad. The awesome orange handle looks great in my bathroom too. And the best part is Harry's razor blade refills are as little as $2, which is a fraction of the price of other leading 5-blade razors. Do your face a favor and try one out today.
Are they going to hear me in this ad?
Of course not. Don't worry. Go back to sleep.
Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com/simple. That's harrys.com/simple.
JD Hayworth here, and the road to feeling better leads to my good friends Dr. William and Ava Gaspar at Beehive IV Wellness in Chandler. With both licensed nurses and physicians on staff by appointment or walk-in, Beehive IV Wellness takes a holistic, naturopathic approach that helps your body with self-healing. All of today's popular treatments are available at Beehive Wellness, from IV hydration to joint injections, even popular semaglutide for weight loss. If you haven't tried IV treatment, you're missing out on your chance to really get healthy. So look them up, make an appointment, or simply walk into Beehive IV Wellness at their Chandler Clinic, where you always get a free initial consultation. Mention me, JD Hayworth, get half off your first treatment. Search Beehive IV Wellness on your mobile phone. You'll thrive with Beehive.
Download the Fanatic app. News, scores, social media updates, and more on your smartphone, on your tablet. The free Fanatic app, available at the Google Play Store or the App Store and at 1580thefanatic.com.
Heading into segment 3 of the Friday edition of the Daily Blender here on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Jeffrey O'Brien out today. Be back Monday, I hope. In the meantime, it's the sexiest man at Sports Talk Radio, Keon Rose, and myself, Randy White. And you, the fourth dimension at 888-368-1580. Let's try to knock out some of these texts that have gathered up on the line. Pierre on the text line, I've translated now into English. Hello, Mr. Randy, Mr. Keon. Sad to hear that Jeffrey is away and sick. I tried to tell him that an Irishman cannot eat British food. They don't like the Irish. Have you been following my Montreal Alouettes? They're 12-4-1 and in first place in the East. They're going to win another Grey Cup and become back-to-back champions like your Kansas City Chiefs. Pierre, I have not been following the Alouettes. Keon, have you been following the Montreal Alouettes?
I can honestly say no, because I don't care enough.
Yeah.
Just a plain fact.
I do apologize, Pierre. I know I probably let you down. I have been wondering through the NHL since the Coyotes abandoned us. And I've been looking for a new NHL team, feeling like maybe a classic NHL team, maybe the Canadiens. The Canadiens might be my next team to root
Montreal,
for.
I mean, granted, that's a hard team to root for. They'll break your heart.
I know.
They'll break your heart.
But
they'll make the playoffs and then they'll break your heart.
But they will make the damn playoffs, which is more than I could say about the Coyotes.
Yeah, well, that's
good.
True.
Good luck with that, Utah. The Moist one says, and remember, we're talking about some TV or movie lines that stick in your head all the time. The Moist one says, kind of hot in these rhinos. I hope that's a line from a movie. Kind of hot in these rhinos.
Is that Ace Ventura?
Maybe. Chosen one says, how about that escalated quickly? I know where that came
true.
from.
You know what? That's probably the one I use the most. I just use it so often. I don't even think about it anymore. I don't even think about the fact that it was Anchorman.
Let's see. State Street Broad says, Badgers with the upset over Penn State this weekend on Wisconsin. How do you feel about that, Keon?
The upset over Penn State. I don't know how I feel about that one.
Over Penn State?
Yeah. Penn State's been really good. Now, granted, this is a solid Wisconsin team, and they are playing in Madison.
At Fort whatever there in Madison.
Yeah, and like Wisconsin kind of disappointed me earlier in the season, like just essentially just back to back. They played Bama and USC, kind of lost both of those games, and then didn't exactly light the world on fire against Western Michigan or South Dakota. Like they didn't exactly look like the team I thought they would look like. But then they smacked around Purdue, then they smacked around Rutgers, and they smacked around Northwestern. So I understand that Penn State isn't going to be like those teams. I don't think Penn State's getting smacked around, but could Wisconsin in a close game pull off an upset? I don't know that I'd be that shocked to see it.
Latina Leprechaun says BYU will meet their match in a few weeks when they face the Sun Devils. ASU will squash the Cougars to win the Big 12. Well, easy.
You gotta go one game at a time. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Let's let ASU have their bye week and be okay with that. Kiss the Cook says, King ain't bleep on me. Training day.
Yeah, it's true.
Roddy Piper says, I come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I think that is a take on an old John Wayne quote. I'll be honest with you.
I think it is, but I can't remember what it is.
I came here to drink whiskey and kick ass. And right now, Pilgrim, I'm all out of whiskey.
It's a really cool line.
Let's see. Randy's chuckle on the text line says, so which quarterback is Texas rolling out this weekend? I know there was some talk about Quinn Ewers' play last week. He looked like he was injured. He looked like, he wasn't as sharp as he has been. And maybe Sark unleashed him a little early. Well, I know the game was against Georgia, but
he played the week before in Red River and he looked fine. So,
well, that was Oklahoma, though.
It's Oklahoma, but if you think he can physically play the position and you think he's your best player, you play him. Like I don't know which one they were going to roll with on Saturday. I haven't been able to make heads nor tails of that. But as far as playing Quinn versus Georgia, that's the call that you make if you think he's healthy. And you wouldn't have played him against Oklahoma if you didn't think he was healthy.
Big George says, wow, wasn't even close. Keon Rose completely dominated this edition of Keon Rose's college football dance party with his superior knowledge of Navy midshipmen and the Oregon Ducks. Randy was a close second with his great emceeing skills and knowledge of ticket prices. Jeffrey was a distant third. He didn't even show up today. Ralph was fourth and in dead last. Thank you, Big George.
Is there ever a time where Ralph is not fourth?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So Killer Rabbit has a question for you, Keon. He doesn't know the spread, but he says, can my mighty Jayhawks come close to the K-State Kitties? And that was Kitties with a K.
Yeah, you can. I mean, the team, Kansas is 2-5, and on paper, that looks absolutely terrible. But when you look at the teams that Kansas has played, two things stand out. One, they've played good teams. Two, those games have almost all been close. Kansas beats Kansas more than Kansas has beaten anybody else this year. If they could stop the turnovers, like Jalen Daniels is, for better or worse, a turnover machine. Like they have to find a way to cut down on that. He just takes too many unnecessary risks with the football. But yeah, there is a path to victory over Kansas State. I mean, Kansas State plays pretty much the same type of game that Kansas plays, or at least wants to. But Kansas has been beating themselves where Kansas State has not been. So I personally would pick Kansas State, but Kansas has a shot at winning this game. Like this is not a crazy situation where like Kansas is so outmatched and can't really hang in there. They can. They just have to stop beating themselves with bad penalties and really stupid turnovers. Like those are the ones where you just go, why? This team's too talented on paper to be as bad as they are.
My granddaughter Presley would disagree with you. She's a big K-State fan.
I mean, I think K-State's going to get the win. I just don't find the gap between those two schools to be as big as the record would indicate.
I just hope you feel good breaking the heart of a young lady.
But I said her team's going to win. Like I
think it's terrible the way you treat young kids.
I'm still picking Kansas State.
All right,
I'm still taking Kansas State.
If you can sleep at night, I'm okay with it.
I am agreeing with her, so I think I can.
Chosen one lived in Madison for 7 years. Got used to going to the Rose Bowls with Wilson. Would love an upset against Penn State. Kudos to State Street Brats. Great bar/restaurant down by the stadium.
I mean,
so that's what State Street Brat is. It's a bar/restaurant down by the stadium.
I bet those
in Madison, Wisconsin.
Brats are delightful, though.
I bet their brats are kick-ass. I love a good brat.
Me too, and I haven't had one in a long time.
See, the thing about brats is you've got to partially boil them before you put them on the grill. And no, ladies and gentlemen, you don't go to the meat aisle and grab quote unquote partially boiled brats. I don't care what do this, okay? And you will be happy. You take a little water, you put it in a pot, you take a beer. It doesn't matter what kind of beer. Probably the cheapest. Get an old style beer, maybe. Ye old style beer, and you snap that dude open and you pour that in that boiling pot. Now, dump your quote unquote already pre-boiled brats in there and let them come to a boil. Okay. Now turn the stove off and let them just idle down to nothing, and then put those on a tray and put them on the grill. You will thank me. You will thank me.
That sounds awesome.
Just saying. It's like an award-winning recipe right there. Beer.
It's a shame that we're an hour away from the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now incredibly hungry.
Sir Drives a Lot says Pet Detective 2.
Oh, the rhino. Okay, yeah, I knew it wasn't Ace Ventura, but I couldn't remember which one because it's just been a long time since I've seen him.
Sir Drives a Lot also says Jeffrey has to leave and Larry, Moe, and Curly show up. That was yesterday. I mean, I don't know why you would call us Larry, Moe, and Curly.
I mean, first off, there's only two of us.
Well, that was yesterday, though. That's when Jeffrey had to leave because that really ugly pest man was there at the door. The dogs were going crazy, remember?
I do remember that. But, okay, that's even more confusing, though, because you say Larry, Moe, and Curly show up. We were there the whole time.
Well, yeah.
We were already there.
Yeah.
We didn't show up. We were literally just...
I mean, perhaps I won't read any more of Sir Drives a Lot's text since he wants to be mean about us.
I do not understand.
I think it's just mean.
I don't understand.
Chosen one says beer. Yes, beer. A little water and beer. And it doesn't matter what beer. Just trust me. And then parboil your brats. What man does not like his brat parboiled? I ask you. Especially before he handles it and throws it on the grill. I ask you. All right, that's going to wrap up hour number 2. We're headed towards 6 o'clock here tonight, everybody. The text line is cleared off. Keon and I will be back around the corner. We're talking some more NFL. We got a little Bronny James news for you. Some NBA stuff. And, oh, my goodness, the NBA changed the score of a game. What? We'll talk about that around the corner on the Daily Blender here on The Fanatic.
Customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. After that, you can also save me, as I'm currently hanging from the edge of a cliff. To recap, number 1, customize and save. Number 2, time allowing, save me. Shoulders separating.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com. Savings may vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down. Now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game and a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now the 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's Kasai Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
The GCU men's basketball squad is coming off their winningest season in 35 years, their 3rd trip to the NCAA tournament in 4 years, and their first ever NCAA tournament victory. Returning 4 of their 5 starters in Ray Harrison, Colin Moore, Duke Brennan, and reigning WAC Player of the Year Tyon Grant Foster, the Lopes look to defend their WAC titles and make a run to the Sweet 16. With a non-conference slate including Stanford, Georgia, and crosstown rival Arizona State, you won't want to miss a moment of the action. So join me, Michael Potter, and Lopes insider Paul Coro all season long right here on the home of the Lopes, 1580 The Fanatic. Lopes up.
You can't escape a traffic jam. Know what else you can't escape? Seasonal allergies. And you might think you can avoid that coffee stain until... Oh, really? You can't escape a lot of things in life, but you can escape prediabetes. Prediabetes captures 1 in 3 adults. There are usually no signs of prediabetes. In fact, most people don't even know they have it. But with early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Take action by taking the 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. You might not be able to escape having this song stuck in your head, but you can escape prediabetes. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
It's time for the 3rd hour.
Quiet, people, settle down.
Because it's time.
For what?
Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
Welcome, everybody, to hour number 3 on this Friday edition of the Daily Blender. As we broadcast live from the Harman Solar Studios, beautiful uptown Scottsdale. It's a Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Right over there, the sexiest man in sports talk radio. That's Keon Rose. My name is Randy White. Jeffrey O'Brien out today. He'll be back on Monday, we hope. You are the fourth dimension. Texting in at 888-368-1580. Where did all these texts come back? Kista Cooks is parboiled brats. That's a hard no. Why?
I don't understand why that would be a hard no. A hard no? Like no,
why
line in the stand? You come across a brat and it's parboiled. You simply can't have it.
Mr. Olber says, Keon, does Texas have a hangover tomorrow night against Vandy? Are you giving me 18.5 points?
I'm not giving you anything. If the spread is greater than 2 scores, you don't get anything from me. Why? I could make that bet with the sports book. It'd be faster. And I stand to lose so much more. Why would I do that?
Swabe Dave says the quote, "I come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass" was from the Bad News Bears. Maybe, but wasn't it a take on John Wayne? I came here to drink whiskey and kick ass, and Pilgrim, right now I'm all out of whiskey. I mean, I thought it was. Maybe I'm probably wrong. Thank you, Swave Dave, for clarity. Let's see. The chosen one, the cheaper the beer, the better the brats, after you boil and grill them. Yeah. Yeah. Pierre, Randy, we'd love to have you as a Montreal Canadiens fan. We're doing great things this season. We will overcome the proverbial obstacle and win Canada's first Stanley Cup title in 32 years. For the record, we last won Canada's Stanley Cup in 1993.
So yeah, John Wayne said, "I'm here to kick ass and drink whiskey. And Pilgrim, I'm all out of whiskey." In The Shootist in 1976.
Mm-hmm. That was his final film, by the way.
I didn't know that.
That was his final film. He did not know it at the time, but he would be after that. He would be diagnosed with cancer.
Mm.
Killer Rabbit, Randy, you are right. About what?
Probably about the John Wayne quote.
Thank you.
That's the most obvious thing I can think that you're right about currently.
Sir drives a lot. Always cheap beer. Boil your brats. Yeah. See, kiss the cook. Just give it a try. You guys went and it was funny. Not my fault. You're reading text a day late. Sir drives a lot. I did read it a day late because I didn't see it yesterday.
And sometimes day-old texts pop up as not cleared on the text line.
Big George says, Randy, do what I'm doing. I'm becoming a fan of the what? Seattle Kraken? What?
Now, Big George, you ought to know how Randy feels about that team that we won't mention the name of on this program. Because of the lawsuit, Big George. You were the lawyer involved in this.
Yeah. That just breaks my heart.
You know better than anybody how much that hurts. Specifically Randy White. That is Big George.
I don't even know what to say about my guy George.
I don't know either. What's gotten into him? And then
that team from Seattle.
Yesterday he says go Seahawks. I don't know what's happening to George.
Yeah, I don't know.
No clue.
Lost Toby, I went to Kasai last night, had the Wagyu steak. I can't go back to basic steak. I know, right?
Once you open that can of worms, it's like sitting in first class on a plane. Once you get that, and then you have to go back to coach.
Bullseye, that was not a live read from Jeffrey. That was it was not live. It was Memorex. That's recorded. And he's not here, I can guarantee you. If you were able to see the studio where Keon is right now, you would see that Jeffrey O'Brien is nowhere to be found. He's not here. He's actually he's on the road heading somewhere. I told not to say where. The Toby. I think it's Lost Toby, not the Toby. No, I already read that. Why did it show I didn't read it? All right, so we've got some things to get to before we have On This Date in Big Georgia sports history. And we're going to break down tonight's game between the Lakers and Suns. How big will the Suns win tonight? Here's good news for you, Keon. Jaden Daniels looks like he's going to play this weekend for your Washington football team, the Commandos. It is coming out today. Jaden Daniels limited in practice Friday after not practicing previously on the last 2 days, but there's still a chance he plays Sunday against the Chicago Bears. With the rib injury, wouldn't you want him to stay out one more? If you talk about a guy that wants to play, did you see how he reacted when he got injured?
Yeah, he was angry. He threw his helmet down. I mean, he was mad about it. You know, he wants to go out there and compete, and the team loves him, and they want to go out there and compete with him. Mm-hmm. I would hold him out, and he said the decision is a game day decision, and it's not up to him. So the reason why it's trending towards him playing on Sunday is in large part because of the fact that he practiced today, and that doesn't necessarily mean he's playing on Sunday, though that usually is a good sign. That if a player hasn't been practicing all week and then they get that Friday practice in, then it's more likely that they'll play the Sunday afterwards, but not necessarily. I mean, they may, see him Sunday and say, no, we're not going to risk it. We had a really good week last week with Marcus Mariota running the offense. They still put up 40 points, even without Jaden Daniels on the field. So maybe you just go out there with Mariota. At that point, though, I think that you lose a little bit of an edge there, because I don't know what Mariota necessarily has in the tank. It's one thing to do it against the Panthers. This Bears defense is for real, but that's also all the more reason to not just expose Jaden to it for no reason. If you think that you really need him to get the win, that'd be one thing. But I see this as a project that goes longer than this year. I'm not interested in the Commanders fighting and battling and scratching to get into the playoffs this year. I want the long-term bit. Like, that was the whole point of starting over with this new coaching staff, with Dan Quinn, with Adam Peters at GM. Build it out. And then when you've got the roster around you, then you can do reckless things like risk your quarterback in a regular season game. This is not the season for that. This is still year one. And if there's any doubt at all, they shouldn't play him.
In other football news, Denver Broncos receiver Josh Reynolds shot twice upon leaving a Denver area strip club. The incident occurred around 3 a.m., October 18th. Around that time, multiple 911 calls were made from victims stating that they had been shot. According to court documents, among the victims was Reynolds, who was shot in the left arm and in the back of his head. Another man shot in his back. There was other people injured by shattered glass. All three victims had scrapes from climbing over a fence in an attempt to get away from the shooters. Dude, when are these guys going to realize those strip clubs are bad news?
I mean, when you're young, I don't think that necessarily occurs to you or shows up to you. And then the thing is, like, we've had players at this point shot in multiple different settings. But the later you're out, this is an incident that happened at 3 a.m. The later you're out, the more likely it is that things like this can happen. And I feel bad for the guy. I don't want to blame him for his own shooting, but when you're out at 3 a.m. and you're at a strip club, there are some parts of this country that is not a safe place to be. And you have to know that. Like, you have to have some idea as to how that's going down.
Apparently in Denver, that Shotgun something, I forget the name of it, Shotgun Willie's, I think. Shotgun Willie's, a local strip club. Victims left about 2:45, and a suspect named Mendoza, who had entered the club around midnight, followed them out. According to a video from the club, 3 vehicles, including one that was driven by Mendoza, were seen following the victims' vehicles as they left the parking lot. According to documents, 2 drivers began to fire at the victim's vehicle, and the driver continued to follow the victims as they got onto the highway. Nothing. What good can come out of being at a strip club at 3 o'clock in the morning? I know.
Yeah, I mean, the people that like strip clubs,
here they come. Here come all the comments.
They like the thing is, like, it's obvious, like, you're not supposed to necessarily put yourself in harm's way and all that. But, like, to be fair, I guess, to Josh Reynolds, like, lots of players go to strip clubs and nothing happens. It just was unfortunate that this is the night that something happened and you had an altercation. It seems like he wasn't even involved.
Wasn't even part of.
Yeah, he just was a random bystander. But that's just, the luck of the draw. And again, like, leaving the strip club at 1 a.m. is still probably not preferable there, maybe, but leaving at 3, the later that goes, I'm just telling you, good things just tend not to happen. But like I said, I don't want to necessarily blame Josh Reynolds for getting himself shot. I'm
not blaming him at all. I'm just saying when are these guys going to learn? It's just not a good place to be. I understand.
The thing is, like, if this was something that happened every other week, that'd be something that people can learn, but like it's not something that happens constantly. You know, it probably is a place that is more likely, but you know, every city is different. Every strip club is different. Every player, as far as how they interact with people and how long they're willing to stay after, all of those situations are different. And, you know, we had Ricky Pearsall get shot earlier this year. He wasn't anywhere near a strip club. Brian Robinson got shot a couple of years ago. He wasn't anywhere near a strip club. Like just, you can just get shot in places because we kind of have a thing in this country where, you know, you could shoot people, and apparently we're just not going to make sure that the folks with guns are responsible. So you get this, you get whatever this is.
Meanwhile, in New York City, Giants owner John Mara says Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen's jobs are safe. Declines to address Daniel Jones, though.
Wow. I like this. Obviously, I think they should keep both of those men employed as long as humanly possible, but not because I think it's good for the Giants, because it's good for me as a team, as a fan of a team in the division with the Giants. And I'm sure the Eagles fans are all saying the same thing, and the Cowboys fans are all saying the same thing too. Because these two have been a disaster. Brian Daboll had a good first year, and honestly, I don't blame him for everything happening with the Giants, but he's part of the brain trust that made the decision to pay Daniel Jones instead of Saquon Barkley, to let Saquon Barkley leave for essentially nothing without really having an identity on what their team is about without Saquon. How can you not have that figured out before you let him go or before you pay Daniel Jones instead of him? Because I can tell you, for as much as people like to say no team's ever paid a running back and gone to a Super Bowl and won it if he's their best player, no team's winning a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones as the main quarterback on the roster. It is simply not happening. So who would you rather pay? The guy that can at least get you to the postseason or not? Brian Daboll was part of that. Joe Schoen, this is his decision-making too. But we got to see these bozos sitting in their room after they couldn't agree with Saquon this offseason, and they were on off-season Hard Knocks, a thing I don't think any team wants to be part of anymore because of how dumb the Giants looked. And they sat there and legitimately said, what's our identity without Saquon? How the hell do you not know that already? That ought to be thing one. Okay, we're not going to roll with Saquon Barkley. Where should we start to pivot? So that when Saquon leaves, or if Saquon leaves, then you at least have a plan to say our new identity is going to be this. Instead, you guys sat there and looked like fools trying to do something clever around running backs, even though, again, Saquon's the best player on your team. Like, I just don't know how else to explain that. He was the best player on your team. You know, their whole draft process looked clownish and ridiculous. You know, they brought in Jaden Daniels for an interview. They looked like the dumb ones in that. Like, this is just a bunch of stuff just piling on top of each other, where if these guys coached and general managed any other team in football, they might have been fired a year ago.
According to this report, John Mara addressed Daboll and Schoen at a screening of a film honoring his late father, the former Giants owner Wellington Mara. He does not intend, this is a quote, to dismiss either during the season, and also expects that both of their jobs will be safe through the offseason as well. Quote, obviously, we're all very disappointed with where we are right now, but I'm going to say one thing. We're not making any changes this season, and I do not anticipate making any changes in the offseason either, end quote. That's sort of the death knell right there, isn't it? BB-8 is gone, isn't he?
It feels like it. Every time he feels like you hear an owner say that this guy has my vote of confidence, it's usually said by a person who doesn't have very much confidence to give in the first place. Because that's the thing, is if your team were playing well or playing up to the standard you wanted them to, you wouldn't need to give a vote of confidence. It would be pretty obvious. Like, you know, the Chiefs dealing with a lot of injuries, going through a bunch of stuff, but there's no dreaded vote of confidence for Andy Reid. It's obvious they haven't lost a football game yet. This is probably not the best sign for Brian Daboll. I think the question is Joe Schoen following him out the door as well. Like that's the thing I think is a little bit more interesting because Schoen is the one that has constructed this team for the last 3-4 years, something like that. And like, there's just not a whole lot to show for it.
Let's see here. Whistling Gerbil is asking on the text line at 888-368-1580. Whistling Gerbil says, what's the betting app to use? What's the betting app to use?
As in
whichever one you want. Jeffrey uses what, Bet365?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that new one, that's
Sport Trade.
Sport Trade.
I like that one.
FanDuel.
I use the FanDuel a lot. The FanDuel parlays are real nice. So
yeah,
the boost they give you pretty good. The NBA boosts have been very kind to me. So
Bullseye says, my mistake. It sounded so good and real that I thought it was live. Bullseye's talking about Jeffrey's commercial again. He's not here, I promise. If he were here, he would be on the radio. I guarantee you. Bruno Baller, Randy, in 2 weeks, we have the NASCAR championship coming to Phoenix. Give us some NASCAR talk, if you will. Well, we're up against a break, so I really can't do that, Bruno Baller. To be honest with you, I haven't really tuned in much to NASCAR this year. I can't find where they went. They were on the CW. They've been on the NBC channels. I'll see what I can find out. Mr. Wilbur says, I'm in love with a stripper. How do you know?
That is a song that exists.
Yeah. Oh. Mm-hmm. I'm in love with a stripper?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pull the Plug says, strip clubs are almost always in a bad part of town. I'd be interested in information on the shooter.
I don't know. In San Antonio, all the strip clubs were located around the airport because the moment you landed, you just saw all the billboards pointing in like 16 different directions. And you're like, oh, so that's what kind of city this is.
Latina Leprechaun, to set the record straight, says John Wayne had cancer in the early 70s, beat it, and was cancer-free, and decided to continue smoking and got cancer a second time. He didn't beat it the second time. Did he live to see an airport named after him? Well, I don't know about that. It's in Orange County there. I don't know if he lived long enough to see the John Wayne Airport come into fruition. I don't know. Bullseye says, I like Bet ESPN. Integrates nicely with the ESPN app. Well, of course it does. Moldy Tuna Fish says, don't you just hate it when you're leaving a strip club and you get shot? Happens to me all the time. Oh, I don't know. Maybe don't go to a strip club. Do all that self-respecting men do. Go to Denny's and hook up with a waitress. Wow. On that note, let's take a break. We will come back and we will be heading into segment 2 of the final hour here on the Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Brought to you by GBank. Earn cashback rewards on every eligible gaming transaction. vsin.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply.
The NASCAR Cup Series racing at Homestead, Miami on Sunday. It's the Straight Talk Wireless 400, and it's the second race of round 3 of the playoffs. There are 3 more spots remaining in the season finale for the championship among the 7 drivers still left in the postseason. Joey Logano claiming a spot after a win last week in Las Vegas. Kyle Larson is the betting favorite to win at Miami. He is at plus 300. Christopher Bell at plus 600. Tyler Reddick plus 700. William Byron also plus 700. Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin both plus 1,000 to win at Homestead. They'll run 267 laps around the mile-and-a-half oval. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
The Fanatic is your home for fall football. Catch the NFL and NCAA live games on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Brought to you by Bet365. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Radical Ruben Gallego can't be trusted. Gallego's inflation-causing policies have made it impossible for Arizona's families to get by.
Gallego's one of the most far-left people in Congress. He's voted with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris 100% of the time.
Even worse, Gallego is an open borders Democrat who voted to allow illegal immigrants to vote in our elections. Radical Ruben Gallego is just too far left for Arizona. Carrie Lake is running for U.S. Senate to be a voice for all Arizonans. She's endorsed by both President Donald Trump and Governor Doug Ducey.
With Carrie fighting for Arizona in the Senate, we will make America great again.
Carrie Lake will fight to lower costs for Arizona's families, eliminate taxes on tips and Social Security, and will secure our southern border. The choice is clear. Vote Carrie Lake for Senate.
I'm Carrie Lake, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Carrie Lake for Senate.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin. And over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
My name is Mary Grace. There are a few misconceptions about Alzheimer's. It's not just memory loss. It's the loss of mobility, the risk of falling.
For more information, contact the Alzheimer's Association at alz.org, sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Ken Barkley here, reminding you to check out You Better You Bet. Why, you ask? Well, because we bring the fun, the insight, and all the wagertainment you need. Plus, hopefully, we win a couple bets along the way, from up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come with them, obviously. Plus, betting analysis from some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. Join myself and Nick Costos and tune into You Better You Bet, weekdays from noon to 3 on Arizona's sports betting station 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
It is the second segment of hour number 3 for this Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3, the Fanatic. The text line open, 888-368-1580. Somebody wanted me to talk some NASCAR. All I can say right now is the second of the 3 races for the final, to lock in your final 4, will be happening this week in the Straight Talk Wireless 400. That's going to be at Homestead. I think you heard Tony on the thing that we played there a while ago. He's giving us the rundown. And then November 3rd, it's Martinsville, which will be deciding who the final 4 will be. Currently, you've got several racers that are still in the running. You've got here are the 8 finalists right now before next week's final race in round 3, the round of 8, they call it. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, the defending champ, Denny Hamlin. Let's see, Elliott's in there, and so's Logano. So next, after not this weekend, but after next weekend, the weekend before NASCAR comes to town to crown their champions, you will have 4 out of that 8 field that I just named off. So a lot of people are calling Kyle Larson as the favorite. Well, I don't think you can bet out anybody from this final 8, because anything can happen at Martinsville. It's a short track, a lot of bumping, and so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But The 8 you're looking at right now, again, Joey Logano, Elliott, Hamlin, Blaney, Byron, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, and Kyle Larson, with Larson being the favorite to move on to the Final Four and eventually be crowned the NASCAR champion. And of course, coming up the 10th, 11th, and 12th out at Phoenix Raceway, there will be the championship for a NASCAR. And there's a lot of great tickets for the Friday and Saturday, but Sunday, I believe, I saw it recently somewhere. Sunday, I believe, is sold out. So that would be Sunday, November 10th. So it's the 8th, 9th, and 10th at Phoenix Raceway. You can call them or look them up, phoenixraceway.com, and get all the news and information about what's happening out there. A lot of stuff happening for a NASCAR championship weekend. So if you're a NASCAR fan, it's a great time to go out. A lot of people out there. If you've never been to Phoenix Raceway, maybe you just moved here. It is an absolute beautiful race facility. It has been completely remodeled several seasons ago, and it is state of the art, man. It is, I believe, NASCAR's jewel. That's why they keep bringing back the championship series to NASCAR Raceway, because it's got state of the art Wi-Fi. The grandstands have been completely redone, and they are state of the art grandstands. You've got different packages you can purchase. The infield package, where you can go down into the infield. You rub shoulders with the crew and with the drivers. You have pretty good access to the drivers. You get to meet them. You can go in the garage area if you have that infield pass, that infield package that you can get. There are several different areas for you to watch the racing from. And there's a place out there called the Barn, which is like a restaurant bar area for families, race fans to go to and enjoy. The drivers go in there. I mean, it's just a great weekend. It's a fantastic weekend to be out there. Again, Phoenix Raceway would be the place to go. I don't know if we're going to have any tickets to give away. I haven't heard or I've been told that. Radio Ron would have to give us the 411 on that, as it were, as the kids like to say. But you might be asking, who am I picking? Well, I mean, your defending champion, Ryan Blaney, always runs well at Phoenix Raceway. So if he's locked into one of the top 4 spots, and he somehow can get up towards the top in qualifying, he's a guy that I'd put money on. Kyle Larson is always a guy that guy can drive anything. I don't care what it is: sprint car, midget, a micro midget, a go-kart, John Deere tractor, lawnmowers. It doesn't matter. Kyle Larson can drive anything. 18-wheelers, he can do it all. So there's the 2 people I'd be looking at. And Christopher Bell is another great driver in the 20 car for Gibbs Racing. And of course, it's not unknown that Joey Logano just irks me. So I like him as a person and as a human being. 888-368-1580. That's the text line. We talked about BB-8 being safe in New York with the Giants organization until John Mara said something. Here's the latest out of California. Did you know Bronny is going to split time between the Lakers and the G League? Keon, what do you think about this?
I mean, it's kind of a halfway point between the problem that the Lakers have and the solution that just needs to happen. The solution that just needs to happen is just send him down to the G League and don't even worry about him for a year. Yeah. That's what needs to happen. The back and forth is so that they can continue to try and milk this thing with LeBron and Bronny, because it sells tickets. It just does. We were talking about it on Beat the Book a couple of weeks ago, because Dylan actually went to Palm Springs and watched the Laker game there when they were playing the Suns in the preseason. And they were on the court together for like a few minutes. It takes over the game. And you'd have to be crazy not to see the financial value in having Bronny on the team. So he's going to go back and forth between the G League team, which at least to me is something. It at least attempts to develop Bronny in some way. But I think it'd be better if he just stayed with the G League team. There's nothing wrong with that.
What does it mean when the agent negotiated a standard agreement, a standard deal, not the two-way contract under which prospects usually play under when they're splitting time between the NBA and the G League?
Yeah, basically with the standard deal, it's the player's choice if they want to go down to the G League or not, and they can say no, and the team can't really do anything about it. You sign the two-way deal. If they tell you to go and play for, whatever the team is called in Grand Rapids, guess what you're doing? You're going to play for the team in Grand Rapids. Like you are basically attached to whatever the organization says they want to do with you as far as moving back and forth. And a lot of teams do this to try and help develop players a little bit faster. So maybe you're a second round player. You start to show a little bit of promise. We're playing you maybe 9-10 minutes a game, but that's not enough for you to improve in a game environment. So we send you down to the G League so you can get that experience as well and move you back and forth between those two places. The difference is that Bronny hasn't shown anything at the NBA level. So the moving him back and forth thing doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, except that Bronny got the standard deal because his dad's LeBron, and they were never going to give him a two-way deal if LeBron didn't want to allow that to happen. And obviously LeBron didn't want that to happen.
Mr. Wilbur on the text line at 888-368-1580 says, I had a girlfriend who let me drive her home once. Oh, yeah. I have questions about this.
The only thing I'm going to say is that she must have really loved you, because that's a lot of trust, Mr. Wilbur. And
Wilbur, you're blind. How did you drive?
Yeah, I was trying to talk around it, but yeah, let's
just cut to the chase.
Cut straight to the chase. Mr. Wilbur.
How is it that you drove the car? Did she know you were blind? Let's see. Bullseye says, I go on the, what's the world coming to? I go online and my Twitter feed has this girl who did 101 guys in one day and filmed it as proof.
My response to that is, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't.
She wanted to do that, and then apparently there were 100 dudes that were okay with that. So
wow,
good for all of them doing whatever it is they do. Why is this news? Why does anybody care?
Harry Soap says the late Bill Paxton from the movie Aliens said, "Game over, man. Game over." That's been all day. In case you're just tuning in, movie clips or TV lines that are stuck in your head that you're always using. Feel free to try that out. So the Clippers had a trainer at one time who was employed by the team, and apparently they fired him. And the reason they fired him, Keon, was because he was voicing concerns over Kawhi Leonard's injuries. And now he's suing the team for wrongful termination, claiming he was dismissed for raising concerns over the treatment Kawhi Leonard was receiving for his injuries. Randy Shelton is the former Clippers trainer that was fired and is named in this lawsuit. He was Mr. Shelton's claims were investigated and found to be without merit. We honored Mr. Shelton's employment contract and paid him in full. This lawsuit is a belated attempt to shake down the Clippers based on accusation that Mr. Sheldon should know are false. Well, I mean, that sounds like a lawyer speak right there.
Yeah. Which has worked before, but
according to Chris Haynes on the X, former Los Angeles Clippers trainer Randy Shelton suing the franchise for wrongful termination, among other things, after he claims he was fired after complaining that Kawhi Leonard was being subjected to unsafe and illegal treatment for his injuries.
I mean, I hope he's got the documentation to prove that. Otherwise, I don't know what leg he has to stand on there. Also, does Kawhi Leonard agree to that? Was Kawhi Leonard unaware of whatever the training was. Like I don't. There's just not enough information here to make anything of this. It's if Kawhi knew, I don't know that he has a leg to stand on. If Kawhi didn't know, but he doesn't have the documentation to show these are the treatments that were given to Kawhi Leonard, and I disagreed with those and I raised those concerns at this time, and they terminated me at this time. Without all of those ducks in a row, you can't even make this case. So I have to assume he's got something. Otherwise, there's nothing to talk about here.
The lawsuit alleges that Leonard suffered a concussion, which was not properly treated, and his workload continued to increase, including playing on back-to-back games toward the end of the season. Eventually, Leonard tore a meniscus in his right knee during the playoffs, but the Clippers allegedly defined the injury as a sprain, despite imaging showing the tear and additional cartilage damage. Sheldon said he wrote a formal complaint about following proper injury protocols to the president of basketball operations, Lawrence Frank, who responded by saying the concerns would be investigated. However, Shelton claims the allegations were considered unsubstantiated, and he was soon terminated without cause in July of 23.
If he's got that, look, with the documentation that he is referring to, if he's got it, then he's right. He's just correct. You can't define an injury like a meniscus tear as though it were a sprain. He would just be correct. But let's. I guess we'll have. It's one of those we'll have to wait and see and see what actually is there and isn't, because this seems dumb if he doesn't have anything to prove what he's accusing the team of. And I don't want to make it seem like the team are the good guys, by the way, because like NBA teams have been absolutely shady about injury stuff in the past. So many teams, so many injuries. But this is just one of those, you're going up against Goliath. You're going to need the evidence.
Yeah. Well, sounds like he's got copies or something, because
that was specific.
He sounds like he's got copies of, the complaint that he wrote. It sounds like the team has a copy of it. And the quote from one of the spokesmen for Shelton's attorneys say this: "We hope that our client's lawsuit will serve as a wake-up call to the Clippers organization that their players are not just dollar values, but are humans requiring proper and not hastened health and recovery treatment for the careers and lives afterward." Wow. I mean, that's stunning to me. You have a trainer who's been trained to take care of these world-class athletes, and when he brings something forth to the team, he ends up getting fired over it?
Yeah, I mean, because ultimately, like it or not, the NBA is a business. And if they can squeeze more money out of a player, they're going to do it. End of discussion. Now, I find it hard to believe that Kawhi Leonard was playing in back-to-backs and he didn't know that was happening. When they ramped up his workload, I find it hard to believe that Kawhi Leonard wasn't aware and didn't know of the risks and all of those things. It's possible, but like that's my devil's advocate to it is, how did all of these things happen to Kawhi and Kawhi didn't know? Some of the training, it may be hard, or the recovery, it may be hard for a player to detect exactly what the issue might be, because you're not a personal trainer. You're not, that's not your field. So you don't know what is and isn't actually going to be helpful sometimes. But when you're talking about his workload increasing, how did he not notice? How did or if he's saying, "Hey, my workload is increasing," or "I'm playing on these back-to-backs, but my knee still hurts." Is there any record of Kawhi saying that? Otherwise, because he's not a passenger in all of this. This is actually his body.
I guess we'll have to wait and see how this thing plays out. I'm sure this is not the last we've heard of this. And by the way, Kawhi Leonard, yeah, he's out indefinitely right now.
Yeah. I mean, since the season started, essentially, and he had to back out of the Olympics, which, the people around Kawhi say he was really excited to be on the Olympic team. He just, he's got a championship, he's got a finals MVP. That one feather in his cap that he never really got was a gold medal run because of the injuries. And this was supposed to be the year that Kawhi could finally check that off. And then he had to back out of it.
All right, we've got to take a break. When we come back, on this date in Big Georgia sports history, and Keon, you think about this. Did you see Skinny Man last night? He put it on. He put it on the big man, the reigning MVP. the Joker. Did you see Skinny Man put it on the Joker last night?
I did.
We'll talk about that next on Daily Blender on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
The Fanatic is your home for fall football. Catch the NFL and NCAA live games on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Brought to you by Bet365. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. $5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GAME to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Everybody's got a podcast these days. Comedy, politics, true crime, you name it. But how many actually teach you anything useful? Harman Solar has an entertaining podcast that is vital if you've been thinking about looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Ralph and Ben explore the intricacies of utilities, equipment, processes, and more. Their primary objective is to educate and empower you to make informed decisions on your solar journey. So increase your knowledge, not your bills. Go check it out right now. It's the Harman Solar Podcast at harmansolar.com. It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down, now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppanyaki chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game and a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now with 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppen.com. That's Kasai Teppen.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
Championship weekend is coming back to the desert. 4 title races in 3 days means there will be a buzz in the air all weekend long. NASCAR Championship Weekend at Phoenix Raceway, November 8th through the 10th. Get your tickets now at PhoenixRaceway.com.
So, what's your favorite thing about sports? The excitement, the action, or the 5-meat pizza and the 6-pack?
Bingo.
That's what we thought. 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, and always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
It has been a long week, man, but we are here, the final segment of the Daily Blender for this week on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Again, the text line still open for a bit longer. 888-368-1580. Did you see Skinny Man last night, Keon? Before we get on to On This Date in Big Georgia sports history, Chet Holmgren put it on the Joker last night. I mean, put it on him.
Yeah. That's a strong young guy. I know that he looks skinny, but people have to kind of get the idea of the looks out of their head, because when you're that tall, there are some people have a bigger frame, they can pack on more muscle. There's some people that have a smaller frame, they just can't, but like I've seen Kevin Durant lift with LeBron and they're close. They're close. It's closer. The weights they lift closer than you'd think. And a lot of that is just Kevin he's just not able to pack on more muscle, but that doesn't mean that he's not strong.
Right.
And I think that that's what people kind of miss with Chet. Also, from rookie year to this year, Chet's added 13 pounds of muscle. He was drafted and he was 195 pounds. Chet now weighs 208. and he's still working on it. And it's going to always be hard for him to put on a lot of weight. His body's that's just not his body type. But
it's a fact. Yeah.
Yeah. But he is strong. And I didn't think that he was going to be able to like handle Jokic the way that he did. But when it came to being physical, keeping Jokic from getting to his spot on the low block or boxing him out for rebounds, Holmgren was doing all of that stuff. And he does a lot of the dirty work for that Oklahoma City Thunder team. He put on a lot of weight this past summer. Wemby put on a lot of weight. So, by the way, look for that matchup whenever he plays Jokic or when Wemby and Chet play each other because they hate each other. That's going to be a fun matchup. Like, I just think that Chet is developing probably even better than maybe the Thunder would ever have imagined. And a lot of that is just his own hard work in the weight room and trying to do what he can to eat the right way and do the right workouts and the right exercises to make sure that he's able to add enough muscle to compete with some of the other bigs in this league.
So the 22-year-old Chet Holmgren assisted Oklahoma City to beating Denver last night, 102-87. Holmgren blocked the Joker at one point, and Jokic was he was insisting that there was a foul. There was no foul. The referee didn't call any foul. Then he takes the ball after blocking the Joker, goes down the court and slams it home. Wow, it was a lot of fun to watch that. So he had a double-double last night, Chet Holmgren I'm speaking of, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 blocks. It's going to be fun to see him and Wemby lock horns later on this season.
Yeah, a few times. I mean, those are going to be some heated matchups. I don't know what Chet said to Wemby or Wemby said to Chet. I have no idea where this came from. The two lankiest, tallest guys in the league already have a rivalry, and they came into the league like that. They just didn't like each other. I don't know when that started. I have done so much research trying to figure out when did this thing actually begin. I still am not 100% clear.
It happened last night, and it's going to go on all season long. So let's do this before we run out of time. Let's go ahead and do on this date in Big George's sports history. Back in the year 1986, one strike from defeat and a Boston Red Sox World Series victory, the New York Mets tied the game on a wild pitch. And then, thanks to Bill Buckner's error, in which the easy ground ball went right through his legs, won Game 6, knotting the series at 3 games apiece. He hobbled to first base, who graciously handled the fallout from one of the most memorable moments in baseball history. Yeah, you know what was happening there as Buckner went to field that ball? He overplayed it. And he couldn't get his glove in position because he has that big first baseman's glove. And by that point in the season, it becomes very worn in, and the glove bent. The ball went right by his glove. Normally, he would have caught it, but he kind of got it stuck on the ground trying to put it into position. And that's what happened. He overplayed it. I will never forget that. That was a lot of fun to watch that game. All right, Keon. So tonight, Suns are going to be taking on the Lakers. Going to be on national TV. There's going to be a lot of activity. There's going to be a lot of howling. Ralph is going to be, wearing his Lakers gear. Why don't you break it down for us since we have a few minutes left in the show?
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun game. I'm excited about this one. I think that the just judging from the way that they were in the preseason when they played each other, then they're already chippy. I mean, the Lakers and the Suns are there's some bad blood there, which always leads to a good game as far as I'm concerned. And then you got the big performances from the first game with Durant and Beal especially. So I actually think this is a really good Devin Booker bounce back spot. I think that he's always played really well against the Lakers. And I do think that, when you're looking at what this team is trying to be, they have like a true 3-headed monster now because all 3 of those guys are just really focused and locked in on scoring. For the Lakers, I do think that the Lakers have an Anthony Davis. I don't want to say problem because it's not a problem for the Lakers. It's the problem for everybody else. Like Anthony Davis is just hard to stop right now. And as long as he's healthy, and he currently is, that guy looks like the best center in the league. Like it was absolutely dominant in that first game that they played against Minnesota. And I don't see any reason why that has to stop. I think for the Suns to win this game, They're going to have to do some of what they did on the offensive end, which is shoot the ball. Like they were shooting it really well, especially from three. They were attempting more of those threes. They were knocking them down. Beal looked really comfortable. Durant looked really comfortable. Got to see Devin Booker settle in a little bit. But then on the defensive end, got to keep the ball out of the hands of Anthony Davis. Because once he's got the ball, like even double teams are not necessarily something that you can rely on to stop him from scoring. Not the way that he's been playing, because he's got so many levels to his game. He can play inside. He can play outside. He can finish with both hands. Like he's just a fully realized basketball player at this point. And the only thing that stops Anthony Davis is injuries. None of them coming to bail you out tonight. So gotta figure out a way to keep the ball out of his hands. I thought the Suns defense looked a whole lot better over the course of the game, even though obviously it was much better in the first half than it was in the second half. I think that that's something that's got to be consistent. And also, kind of a theme that followed the Suns from last year to at least game one. I'm not saying that that's the trend, is the turnovers. They just had a bunch of bad ones against the Clippers. That make the free throws, obviously, that was a gigantic issue from game one. I think the Suns won a very good game against a solid Clippers team, and they made a bunch of mistakes doing it. If they can clean those mistakes up, then I think this could be a really, really good game that the Suns have a really good chance to win. I'll pick the Suns.
Really? Okay, good.
Yeah, I like the options that they have scoring, and Tyus Jones at point guard just frees up all of those guys to just focus on getting buckets.
It just looks like the team has a new energy about it. Last year, the team it seemed like it was heavy. When they went out to play, it seemed heavy, and nobody was really excited. So far this year in the preseason and the games that I've seen, this team looks like they're excited to be out there. They have a whole new outlook. You're right. They're playing defense, and everybody is kind of free. They're all moving kind of free and easy. Although the line has the Lakers 1.5 point favorites, at least that was at time we took the air. I think that may be the same. I don't know. Do you have the odds on this game for tonight?
Yeah, I've got 1.5 as well. And look, I think that the 1.5 is probably just a function of you're playing the game in LA. These two teams are close. This is a good game because these are two teams that are closer together than they probably like to be. But they say styles make fights. Like that's what this is all about. And I think that the Lakers are going to get the edge because they are at home. But like this is a neutral site game. It's probably a pick 'em.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch the first of many games this season against the Lakers for the Phoenix Suns. And if they are going to come out of the West, they're going to have to go through Los Angeles. Everybody knows that. I think the Lakers have a good lineup with D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Hachimura, of course, LeBron James, and as you mentioned, AD. If AD can stay out of his street clothes and continue to play basketball, and if LeBron can continue to play, I know he didn't have a great season last year. I mean, he had a better than average season. He's LeBron James, but it's not up to that LeBron James, status, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
And I don't think we're going to see that level of LeBron ever again.
No,
that's
I don't
the
think
reason
so.
why it's important for the Lakers that Anthony Davis become the guy on that team.
Yeah.
So that LeBron can be the number 2. Like that's the stage in his career that he's at. I mean, it's crazy that it took him this long to finally get to that point, but he's better off being a number 2, a facilitator. He can play point guard because he's LeBron, but he's basically almost a triple-double every night. He'll get you 9 rebounds, he'll get you 8 assists, he'll get you 18, 19 points. I think that's where the Lakers would rather have LeBron be. So we'll see what Anthony Davis does the rest of this year.
Well, Nurkic is going to have his hands full with AD tonight. But look, I think this is going to be a fun game, fun series all season long. Phoenix Suns in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers tonight. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Daily Blender. We thank you all for being here on the text line, 888-368-1580. I see you out there, Mr. Wilbur, Kiss the Cook, Bullseye. Yeah, I see that. Moldy Tuna. Sorry I didn't get them to the air, but I'm reading them, and I will read them before we go home. See you Monday at 3 p.m. over most of these same radio stations. Thanks, Keon. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you all again.